The date is the 18th of Dravago, year of our kingdom, 998. The weather is... The night air is cool on our skin, warmed by an ordeal. Situation: we're cordoned off from the main gallery of the auction hall and are waiting to be summoned to have our statements taken. Tonight did not go as planned. Far from it. If I were to list my thoughts for how this evening should have gone, reality would not have even touched my mind, let alone paper. The confusion and sudden unpleasantness has left most in attendance adrift. Damon is preoccupied. I'm curious to hear his thoughts on the evening. After all, he has a new perspective on this whole mess. Willow seems distracted. I need to check on them as soon as we're in private. And N is where... Oh, N.
Ah,
There you are.
hey, big guy. You alright? You seem a little...
That bruise is really purple. Does it hurt? Come with me. The doctors are over here. You should see them, just to be safe. Come on.
Nah, I'm fine. It's not as bad as it looks.
Are you sure?
Yeah, trust me. I bruise easy, but that doesn't mean I go down easy.
Well, well, at least let me try to fix it. I'm not totally tapped out yet. Maybe I can help. It kind of hurts to look at you.
Yeah, sure. Wouldn't want the sight of me to do irreversible damage. Speaking of, how are you holding up? As I recall, that horde of undead didn't treat you too kindly either.
Oh, I don't even know where to begin with all of that. I'm still not breathing properly, but I can't tell if it's from the gas or just everything building up on top of me.
Yeah, that tracks. Think it's safe to say it's been an eventful evening. Why don't we take it from the top before we get too confused, huh?
I suppose anyone would find this evening's events confusing, not just me. Okay, what happened since the last time we debriefed?
You know, surprisingly little when you break it down.
Murder, mystery, and mayhem is surprisingly little.
I mean, when you're heartless like me and solely looking at the cold hard facts, auction, zombie attack, murder victim. Boom, that's it. No, let's actually think about this. As I recall, after that spat between Stanislav, Meraldine, and Herrick, we were hurried along to the auction hall for the main event of the night.
Willow joined Damon, you, and I in the line, and the artist you were speaking with, Jaylee, she was with us for the auction. That was nice of you to invite her to sit with us.
Yeah, don't read too much into it. I have my reasons. Those aren't important right now. What's important is what happened inside that doomed auction hall. First, everything was going off without a hitch. What you'd expect. The art pieces from the gallery put up for auction, bidding wars raged between those with coin to spare, a painting to Ryger, a pocket watch to Edmund. Oh yes, all was well with Rigaport on this auspicious evening.
You know, I kind of wonder if the High Prince won the painting of Lazar because he wanted it the most, or because the other pirates didn't want to contest him. He's kind of their boss, right? So I don't think they'd want to beat their boss in something, even if they are pirates.
Well, put that in the bucket with the rest of the mysteries, I guess. Speaking of Jaylee, it was her sculpture that turned out to be the harbinger of, well, the undead.
I wonder if it was actually involved in summoning them or just unfortunate timing for her. I can't imagine going from the nerves of your art being on auction and then zombies.
Oh, she's everything she claims to be. No, that's not how I'd want my first art auction to go. Regardless, we're still in the dark, or the proverbial cloud of noxious poison gas, I suppose.
Ugh. I could still taste it. It's noxious, whatever it was.
You did seem to get hit pretty hard by the stuff. Not that I blame you, it came out of nowhere, same time as the zombies. Then it was every man for himself, dead and alive.
I don't want to think how much worse it could have gone if half the room hadn't been armed. You too, I'm sure you helped a lot of people.
Oh, I remember pushing Jaylee out of the room, but otherwise, debatable. I certainly did show off my powers, but I think the honor of helping people goes to Damon. He was quick to get that door open and urge the audience to safety, and punched a few zombies along the way.
Punch? I suppose he didn't have his sword, did he? What a sight. Big and Little White heroically saving the day, and then Willow and I...
Hey, don't sell yourself short. Once you could, breathe, you were knocking heads off those undead shoulders. Willow busted a window open to vent the smog, too, I think.
Oh, is that what that was? I thought I heard glass breaking. Willow wasn't doing too well when I left them.
Honestly, I didn't have the best view of the room, but pretty sure I saw the telltale flash of their magic missiles. Otherwise, yeah, Willow's been having a hard time this evening, and then the only time I caught sight of them during the attack was when they were playing a losing game of Don't Get Clobbered. Well, no, I stand corrected. They did toss their sword to Damon, and that's when the tables of our little skirmish really turned. Everyone played their part, and we all got alive, right? Well,
We did, yes, but not everyone was so fortunate.
yeah. We've yet to find out who actually died in that attack. I guess it is fortunate that the zombies seem to largely concentrate their efforts on Ryger and his sea dragons. They could fight back. Come to think of it, the undead in question were dressed as dire sharks, the sea dragon's nemesis, which is such a blatant arrangement of ill will it starts to smell suspicious. Lo and behold, when we finally make it out of the death trap, Tarek is found murdered in the gallery. If you ask me, that whole auction attack seems like one big misdirection.
Well, if I were planning an assassination, the first thing I'd do is divert suspicion elsewhere. It's such a basic tactic that it makes me wonder just how proficient the killer actually is. And given the first accusation was thrown at a man with negligible skill in strategy,
That's a very generous description of Arl. But yes, we should be careful not to count anyone out yet.
the crowd does make for a difficult suspect list, that's for sure. At least I know it wasn't us.
Yeah, we gotta appreciate the little things, right? But yes, we're dealing with quite the notable guest list. Let's narrow it down to some key players. Arl D'Thorani is one, great nephew of Baron Alar D'Thorani and sculptor of Galifar James the Dragon.
He wasn't really a fan of Elham's, not just because of the comments on his artwork, but his position in the Thorani family and his, overall demeanor.
Tarek Alham, playwright of The Folly of the Four Sons, formerly of Siri. I'm not going to be the first to say he was the most pleasant guy here, but I doubt he deserved to have his corpse popped up on Errol's sculpture in such a harrowing way.
He had a partner, though, so he was probably, likable in some way.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder and all that, moral of the evening, blah blah blah. But yes, Geraldine Frostroot is indeed another notable card in this deck. Tarek's partner, a sea dragon, and the one who accused Arl of murdering Tarek for obvious reasons.
She defended his honor early in the evening, but if I were planning to murder my boyfriend, I'd try to make it seem like we were on the best terms.
I'll keep that in mind.
Then there's Dragovix. Any number of people Elham offended with his play. Even Beckett's correspondence with him was less than ideal, right?
I believe Tarek sent Edmund what we in the business call a compliment sandwich. Suffice to say, Tarek did reject Edmund's proposal to bring his opera to Sharn. What I think we can say for sure is that Tarek knew a lot of people in the art scene in some way or another. Not to mention, he was a walking political statement between his plays and his clothes. All that certainly makes the fact he showed up with his guts on display and his eyes stabbed out a complicated matter.
Ugh. He knew a lot of people, and a lot of people were not his fan. When you put all of that together, the Madani captain has her work cut out for her.
All right. We pick up again a few hours later as you enter your new hotel room on Damon's bill at the Gold Dragon Inn.
Don't have to pay.
Ian. Yep. It's close enough to the Pirate Exchange, but considering the amount of time taken for the Port Authority to get everybody's statement, tracking back, Damon arranging for a room with a night concierge, it's pretty late. Almost 1 a.m. Damon hands you guys the keys and says, "You can stay here and not worry about the expense until our travel ban is lifted. Courtesy of Miss Dimadani. My room's across the hall. Knock if you need anything."
Appreciate it.
The room is not lavish or anything, but it's nice. 3 single beds. An ensuite bathroom.
Just for our purposes. How's Willow
I don't
doing?
have to sleep on the floor this time.
Yay! All victories.
Yes, how is
Yeah.
Willow doing?
And
I'd like
then-
to make an inside check on my little Willow.
And Luca are definitely looking at Willow.
Willow
Not hard staring,
hasn't taken
but
off their
glancing.
cognate mask. Willow hasn't taken off their cognate mask. They haven't said anything, pretty much, since the end of the auction.
Yeah.
Mm.
They'll probably walk in and take their jacket off. That's the extent of it. They didn't acknowledge Damon's. They're not acknowledging much.
Mm.
Yeah.
Does anyone have a preference on which bed they want?
Well, they're all the same size.
I think Willow took the one nearest to a window.
Hmm.
Just like they wandered over and put their jacket over on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that case, and we'll probably take the one furthest from the window and leave Luca in the middle, I suppose.
I'm everyone's body pillow.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they're going to sleep, I think Anne is just kind of unpacking themselves a bit, taking a moment to sit
Yeah.
somewhere soft and mildly comfortable.
I
Yeah.
think Luca would take off his armor at this point because the safest time is after something dramatic has happened because everyone is on high alert.
Your professional opinion.
Yeah. Also, you can't really sleep in armor anyway, so might as well get a good night's rest now that you're well out of the fire.
Yeah, and doesn't look like they're going to sleep. They're probably like sitting on the edge of their bed, but their leg is bouncing. You know, that anxious leg bounce.
Yeah. Let's flash back briefly to what you told the town guard when they were taking your statement, Anne.
Yes, so
What was your attitude like when they called you up?
tired and just like their bruises had been mildly healed at that point thanks to Luca, but I think they just seemed very tired, exhausted, sluggish, drained from the evening.
Yeah. Yeah. An equally tired but efficient town guard says, "We just want to take statement of everybody here."
Of course. And makes a gesture like, go ahead.
All right. Just going to ask you a few questions for the record. Name, occupation, and place of residence.
Caster, I'm a representative for Damon or Ardentego, and I'm currently staying at the Gold Dragon Inn with my employer.
Mm-hmm. Scribbles it down. All right. Probably obvious, but why were you attending the auction tonight?
Yes, because Sir Ardentego was. As his assistant, I was here to help him make connections, so on and so forth.
He nods. All right. Were you at all familiar with the victim, Mr. Tarek Elham?
Vaguely familiar with his work, but personally, no.
All right. And, did you spot anything unusual during the events of the evening?
I did see some zombies.
Mm.
I'm sure half the gallery has already told you about the little argument Tarek had with, what was his name? Dragovich?
He writes that down. Anything else about the attack or discovering the body that you'd care to add or elaborate on?
Too busy just trying to get alive, honestly. Can't say I have much else I can add that would be helpful.
All right. Thank you.
No problem.
We request that all people who attended the event stay within Regalport until further notice, both for safety and in case we need to ask further questions. We'll contact you if need be.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We cut back to the hotel room where Anne is sitting and bouncing their leg.
Why don't I get everyone some water? I think after everything, we could all use a drink, especially the gas. I can still feel it in my mouth. I'm gonna get us water. Okay. Good job, Luca.
Yeah, go for it.
You grab the provided glasses and pour everybody a glass of nice, cool, refreshing tap water.
Yay! Does Willow take it when I offer it to them?
Are you offering it directly? I imagine they're facing the window, which is essentially
Yeah.
the furthest in the room they can get away from everybody without jumping out of the window.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and there is a bedside table near them if you want to take that option,
Yeah.
because they aren't necessarily turning to receive the water.
Yeah. I think I'd like walk into your line of sight so that you know that I'm there and then step around and put it on the bedside table and step away because you obviously don't want to talk to anyone right now.
I would say
Appreciate your
Willow's got that kind of, even though they're wearing a mask, you can tell they are sort of staring into space. So it's not fully acknowledged whether you've walked into their line of sight. But reasonably, if
Yeah.
their eyes are open, you'd say that, yeah, that they probably noticed that.
Yeah. At the very least, they should be able to hear you. You're not
Yeah.
particularly quiet.
Yes.
You're also probably like, here, Willow, a glass of water for you.
Yeah.
I'll just put it on the bedside table.
Yeah.
I think when N accepts the glass from Luca, they're going to ask him, so what'd you tell them?
Well, and then we cut back.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Delightful.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, tired guard says, we're taking statements from everybody here. This is a different guard to the one that interviewed N.
Yeah.
She says, we're taking statements from everybody here. Could you please answer the following questions for the official record?
Of course.
Name, occupation, and place of residence.
Well, my name is Luca Kansan. I don't know my actual surname. I was injured in the war, and I don't remember it, and I don't have dog tags. I'm 26 years old. My birthday is Olaran 23rd. I am a nurse in training, not formally yet, but I'd like to be. And I'm a seeker of the divinity within. That's not a job, but I think that's important. And sometimes I do manage the children in my church. Oh, and I'm contracted today to work security for Damon Ardantego. He's over there. He's the tall man with the white hair and the red jacket. I live in Salvage. It's a small town in the west. I don't know how many kilometers, but I can find out if you need me to.
Seeker of the divinity within and Salvage?
Mm-hmm.
Place of residence, Salvage. Okay. All
Naughty
right.
Poppy, the clinic.
Okay. I think I have that all down. Right. Right. You already said. Reason for attending this auction is that you were contracted to security for your employer's name again.
Damon Ardantego. He's that man. And I point very noticeably. And I'm working with two other people, Costa, and I point them out, and Gil, the one with the gold face. Point.
Right. Yep. Okay. Okay. Were you familiar with the victim, Mr. Tarek Elham?
No. I don't think I've ever met him personally, and I don't think we spoke tonight, and if we did, it would have been so short that I don't remember it. I did see him when he came in. He was kind of rude to one of the artists, but that's all I really remember of him.
Right. Okay. Is there anything notable about the evening that you would care to comment on?
Well, I'm sure you've heard, but there was a man who was going around and he seemed to be making everyone upset. He had sharp eyes and wild eyes, and his hair was pulled back. I think his name was Dragovich. He made a scene in front of everyone in a painting, and Elham confronted him, and then when the confrontation was about to get physical, one of the captains of the Sea Dragons, Meraldine Frostroot, who I think is Elham's partner, she stepped in and challenged that man to a duel, and I don't know if that's still going on. I don't think so. I think it would be soon, but it's kind of late and no one seems to be wanting to do that. Anyway, when they separated, my work associate, Gil, seemed to be a bit concerned, I think.
One second. She rapidly scribbles into the notepad. Okay, continue.
Well, when Elham went off, my work associate seemed a bit concerned for him, but I think they're both from Siri, so I can imagine they both found what was said a little bit upsetting. I think Gil went after him to confront him, not confront him, comfort him, because they were both upset. And I was the one who confronted the other man who caused the scene. I didn't hit him or anything. I wanted to, but I didn't. But he was really mean to me in response. So if I was going to murder anyone tonight, it probably would have been him, but not Elham.
Right. Right. Okay. Dragovich, you said his name was.
Mm-hmm. I can't see him right now, but he looked mean and old, if that helps.
How old are we talking?
Zeke, how old is he? Look.
He was actually in his early 30s.
Well, you can't tell, but he looked aged by experience, if that makes sense.
Right. Okay. Clothing description, hair color, eye color?
He had sharp, wild, kind of pale eyes, and he had dark hair and it was pulled back, and his skin looked like it was kind of weathered from being in the snow, and he had a black formal wear with gestures like a stripe across his chest, kind of a cut in the fabric, and it was red and white on one side. Did he have a cane, Zeke?
No, but he did have he did not have a cane. He had a great sword, though.
Oh yes, and he had a great sword, and he looked mean. If I see him, I will find him and tell you.
Much appreciated. Okay. Anything you'd like to comment on about the altercation in the auditorium?
The gas tasted really bad, but I don't know what it was. And I tried to help as much as I could.
Much appreciated. Thank you. Right. Thank you. Thank you very much. We're asking that everybody please stay within Regalport. Those that attended this event. In case of further questioning, we'll contact you if we have anything else to follow up on.
I don't know where I'll be staying, but I'm sure it will be around. Smiles brightly.
Please make arrangements.
Yes, and I'll tell you.
Hey.
But I don't think anyone I was working with is involved. They're all really nice.
Right. Okay. And on that note, we cut back to...
and just staring at Luca. Oh, I see you spared no detail there.
Well, yeah, if they see that I'm willing to help, they won't think that I'm the one who did it, right?
That's one way to look at it. Sure.
Tips my water. Looks like, oh no, did I make a mistake?
It's just a bit more information than I probably would have given.
Right. Did I mess up?
Guess that remains to be seen, huh?
Oh, thank you. For being honest, I suppose.
Never be sure what kind of threads those kind of people are gonna follow.
Well, hopefully not us, because we didn't do it. So elsewhere is where they should look.
You're technically innocent.
Technically. We are actually innocent.
Guess that'll depend on their opinion, huh?
Mm.
There's such a thing as framing people.
I nod and then sip my drink a little bit considered. That's why the zombies are in dire shock clothes, I imagine.
Yes. As Meraldine pointed out, that was strange. Not necessarily all above board there.
Has Willow moved at all during this?
Nope.
Then peers over at them over the top of their glass. Is there any point in
Willow
asking how it went for you?
I do imagine Willow might not quite flinch, but they do move when they realize they have been spoken to, or rather that someone's voice has been raised. But they don't turn around or say anything. It might just go silently to a flashback.
Yeah.
I think Willow just shrugs basically, or moves their shoulders slightly. We go silently to a flashback. Gil standing mute and unresponsive as they are being called up.
Yeah, I think if it's possible to have been sitting anywhere, Willow would have been probably just quietly sitting next to Damon.
Okay.
And when they're called, they don't respond to it. But it's not the same kind of lack of response. They actually will peer up and then just look back down. Like they heard you, they're just ignoring this.
Yeah. We're taking statements. Can you answer a few questions? The Port Authority looks over to Damon. What's wrong with them? Can't they hear? Damon glances over at Gil's still form. Sorry, think they've taken this pretty hard. They're my employee. I can answer some questions for them. I've already made my own statement. The guard sighs and says, alright. What's the name, occupation, place of residence? Damon lists off. Her name is Gil Gasket. They are my accountant. Currently, we're staying at the Gold Dragon Inn on the edge of the Pirate Exchange. Gives the address. They're my accountant, so that's why they were attending. I don't believe they were familiar with the victim at all. I don't think they've met him at all. That right? Well, as you can see, pretty sure they're in shock. It's not easy seeing something like that. Guess you can put that down as no comment. The guard says, right. Well, if you have any more information, you know where to contact us. Please stay within Regalport until further notice. We'll contact you if we have any further questions. The scene fades.
And now I think Willow will sort of shrug.
Yeah.
Towards what ends question.
Well, we can always talk about it tomorrow. It's pretty late. But, En's gonna throw back the rest of their water and place it down on the side table. I'm not sleeping. So I think I'm going to go have a little chat with Damon. They're gonna get up and make their way towards the door.
Oh, I kind of wave my hand at N, go.
Alright, no. If Luca's happy here, then we'll leave the room and cross the hall and go knock on Damon's door.
He opens it up pretty quickly. There's a table with a few chairs around it. He invites you to sit across from him.
If I didn't know any better, I'd say you're waiting for me.
Figured you'd wanna talk. Didn't know if the others would come along with you.
And peers towards the door. Yeah. Willow's definitely tapped out. I don't know what Luca's planning to do. I just know I'm not
Probably
sleeping.
look after Willow.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've shut down pretty hard, looks like.
Yeah, I've never seen them like that before.
Well, since we're not waiting for the debrief in the morning, what you got?
And rubs their head. Well, I guess to start off, a lot of questions about what you saw back there. pull up a chair, sit down.
Uh-huh.
I guess we'll start at the top. That Dragovich guy, you know him at all?
Not personally, but, judging by, Damon waves his hand vaguely. General, attitude, association, and a sneaky little emblem on his sword. Probably Order of the Emerald Claw.
Know anything
about
about that? Do I think?
Make a history check.
Ah, okay. See. Alright, decent.
You think they're like they sound like an order of knights from Karnath, but you don't really know much beyond that.
Yeah, that seems decently easy to infer. So, no, I assume there's some knights from Karnath or something?
Yeah, well, they were. The order, it used to be a chivalric order, related to the Blood of Vol, except, it was dismantled in, like, 970 something.
Oh.
Except they didn't quit, so... Now, the remaining order is a bunch of ex-military hardliners and, Blood of Vol extremists. So...
Certainly did seem arrogant and stubborn, so I suppose that tracks.
Yeah, they've been blamed for more than a few incidents. And, well, he didn't seem old enough to have been one of the originals, but it probably don't have that hard a time recruiting people who are pissed off about the war.
Yeah, he's certainly not quiet about it. Were they in the business of, and, like, taps the side of their eye and makes a slicing motion across their gut?
Assassinations? What?
Do they have a modus operandi?
Oh, well... The
Or is it
obvious
just cut
is
people
usually... Well, the obvious is usually, plenty of necromancy lying around.
Right, but of all.
Yep.
Well, it certainly doesn't look good for him, then.
No, it doesn't.
Between the zombies and his argument with Tarek. Definitely suspect number one, which almost feels too easy. Anyone else there that you took note of?
Well, aside from the obvious, Uka did talk with another, Blood of All believer, elf woman.
Hey, Elia.
Yeah. Mention her to you?
I was there when he spoke to her. She seems pretty skilled with magic.
Oh, there you go. Not to point the finger at the elephant in the room, but if you wanted to blame anybody for a bunch of undead showing up unannounced, he shrugs.
Would be the first place you look. She didn't come from Karnath, though. At least, from what I understand, she was from Farlnan. I'm not terribly familiar with the principalities, honestly, but I know generally where that is on a map. You know anything about it?
Farland. Yeah, the place where they say that, it's ruled by the Queen of the Undead.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah.
Is she undead? Or is she just a head
Damon
honcho?
shrugs.
Never met her. Got it.
Yeah, I haven't really been interested in confirming the rumors either way.
Yeah.
Bit cold for my blood.
Yeah, not at the top of your list, I imagine.
Nah. And, it's like dark there half the year anyway, so
Ugh.
if you wanted a place with vampires and all that sort, sure. Why not?
Oh, I'll cross that out as my next vacation location then. Hmm. How about that gas? Is that familiar to you at all?
Yeah. Not familiar in the sense that I've ever experienced that kind of thing before, but, pretty sure that was a stinking cloud spell.
Hmm. Yeah, it certainly seemed like it. So, whoever did this, more than one person probably.
Maybe, depends. Most likely cast within the room. Powerful spellcaster could do that.
Our aforementioned Elia.
Maybe. I didn't see her when we entered the room, though.
Oh, really? Was she not at the auction then?
I don't know. I
Hmm.
mean, I wasn't particularly looking for her, so
Of course.
couldn't say.
Yeah. Fortunately, I was also. I had tunnel vision while I was in there, so.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
And rubs up their temple. Speaking of, my friend,
Yeah.
what is your take on him?
Honestly, stay away from that guy if you can help it.
I wish I could. Seemed like he knew you, at least by name.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a reputation and all that, but I don't know. There's something pretty off. I reckon he's got some sort of lie detector or something that lets him see a little more than what everyone else sees. It's unnerving.
Yeah.
I tried looking at him for magic items. Most of what I got was noise. Happens sometimes.
You know,
People don't want them looking at you.
that's funny, because when I tried to read his mind, I also just hit a brick wall.
Somehow that doesn't surprise me.
Mm.
Could be Dark Lantern training. Could be something else.
Annoying.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for trying. And nothing else about his butler, huh? Other than a lot of makeup.
Yeah, pretty heavy transmutation on that guy. To the point where it was basically impossible to see what was underneath it, but
Yeah.
again, the vibe's off.
Forgive me for being suspicious of that and not buying that it's just to make him look good.
Yeah, no. I mean, it wouldn't be that active if it was just cosmetic. I don't know. There's something weird about both of them. Same kind of weird. It's not my area of expertise, so I don't want to say more. put my foot in it, but yeah, I'd keep away from them if you can, and otherwise I'd say make sure you have a pretty clear advantage if you can't.
Yeah, that's what I'm gathering.
There was one little thing I noticed.
Oh?
Don't know if you did. Inside of Edmund's jacket, little silver pin. Did you notice it?
Can't say I got close enough. Did you see what it looked like at all?
Yeah, it looked like one of those theater masks. You know, comedy and tragedy.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Just the tragedy one.
And like hand raises to their mouth now, and like almost like slightly disturbed thought. Like it's a gesture that's a little too reflexive for them to stop at that moment.
Something about that?
It does feel familiar. Correct me if I'm wrong, Zeke, but I'm pretty sure, and may have caught glimpses of that during the night when their eye was taken.
Indeed, you did.
Well. At least I can rest
Way to make
easy.
it obvious, bro.
I can rest easy knowing he hasn't changed in 5 years.
Damon raises an eyebrow.
Let's just say I saw that symbol on the night my eye was taken.
Right. You're a freaky little death cult.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing you reckon they're mixed up in all this somehow.
Oh, you're a smart man, Damon. I'm sure you can do basic equations. Kelson, Tarek, me. There's eye trauma and all of that if you wanted the most loose of connections.
Right.
But beyond that, there's other... It feels too... And I know I'm very focused on my perspective, but it just seems so convenient. And even if it's not, even if they aren't involved, I'd really like to rule that out. The last thing I want is them here in Regalport.
Makes sense. Well, I'd better get to figuring out what the hell's wrong with that guy.
Well... Let's start with another question. How much do you know about House Fierlin and Thorani? Either or both?
I'd say I'm well-versed enough with their public-facing side, and I know a little bit about the stuff that goes on behind closed doors.
Yes, well, I think I have failed to mention that, as far as I could tell, the ringleader of my little, air quotes, death cult was, and En's going to message the name, Elanis.
I said I was familiar. I don't know everybody's name off by heart. Sorry.
Yeah, well, she does like to stay
Guessing
out
that-
of the spotlight. She's the matriarch's sister
Guessing.
of Fierlin.
Kind of wish you'd led with that. Yeah,
Sorry.
Let's call that problematic.
Yeah, so when you tell me to stay away from people like our friend here, I'm afraid he's bottom of the barrel comparatively. Still want to hire me?
Yeah, well. Who doesn't have baggage in this day and age? Admittedly, yours comes with unusual complications, let's say.
Very generous of you.
Yeah. But you're sharp, you're useful. You're pretty good in a fight, from what I saw.
I'm learning.
Hmm.
I just hope that gas was as blinding as it seemed, because I'm not exactly thrilled about the idea that our friend saw me and makes punching motions and, like, makes a fire noise and wiggles their fingers.
Right, well. Pretty sure whatever's wrong with them, it doesn't, give them immunity to poison. Saw them coughing pretty heavily.
Oh, I'll mark that down. Poison. And makes like a pretend writing motion on the table.
Well, it's a good thing I know you're not as bad as you pretend to be.
I wouldn't show it to you if I didn't think you could parse the details, read between the lines.
Yeah, well. We'll see what comes out of the wash of this murder investigation.
I want to figure it out, but I don't necessarily want to get involved with any of the detectives or guard or authorities. It's not really my style.
Yeah. Can't blame you.
You did a lot of dealings in Zendrick, right?
Yeah? What brings that up?
I was just curious how familiar you are with Sharn.
Oh, I think I've been there once. Not for very long.
I know a lot of ships pass through there, between the two continents.
Oh yeah, that is where I got the... Yeah.
You want to elaborate on that?
No, I was just remembering. That was why I was at Sharn. I took a ship there. South. I mean, they call it the gateway to Zendrick for a reason, right?
Yep. That's why I was wondering if you were a frequent visitor.
Nah.
Makes sense. Well, then it's probably meaningless to tell you that the theater, or the death cult, air quotes again, was in the Smoky Towers district.
Well, if we ever end up in Sharn, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, I figure you're going to be around during this investigation. You might as well know any detail that might assist in us hopefully ruling out dealings by my friends.
Yeah. Damon lets his gaze sort of wander away as he thinks.
Eberron has their headquarters there now.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that much. The Serpentine table will be there too. Oh, right. You know that Fjarland's basically spies.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Okay, well, the name for that network, the round table that's responsible for all the various information gathering and espionage that's available across the continent to those with enough money and prestige, is called the Serpentine Table.
Right. Yeah, well, I'm sure they'll be right at home in Sharn.
Yeah, well. The other thing that they do sometimes, but not that much lately, is paid assassination. Political, usually.
Hmm.
You can imagine that made them pretty popular during the war.
Yeah, one can imagine. Guess it didn't all go with the Rani.
Well, the Rani were the best assassins in the biz. And then they broke out on their own.
Yeah.
You can imagine there was some pretty serious family conflict going on.
I mean, I've read about it in books. Sounded pretty bad.
Yeah.
Edmund seemed very interested in speaking with Elar and Lydia, despite him, as far as I could tell, having roots in Fjarlin. It's just made me
Roots
wonder.
in Fjarlin, you said?
Yes.
What makes you think that?
My sources called him someone who sponsors people to Fjarlin education, and also the aforementioned show he attended and its ringleader.
Right. Yeah, okay. See where you get that impression. Damon sort of rubs his chin and thinks, well, I mean, the Fjarlin spit was only, 30 years ago?
I believe so.
He would have been around for it.
Mm-hmm.
If he's a Dark Lantern, then I'm pretty sure he would have worked closely with the house around the time of the split.
Yeah, I thought that could be the case. He mentioned knowing Ilar 30 years ago, or at least running in the same circles. And my first thought was not art circles at the time.
Yeah, well. Yeah. Probably.
Wish I had more answers for you.
Same here, little white. Like I said, this hasn't really been my focus.
Of course not. Your focus has been a bit more north.
Just a bit. But, hey. I scratch your back, you scratch mine.
Yeah, I'm kinda gathering that is our arrangement.
Well, if you find any weird magic stuff with, your, he gestures, friends, let me know. Better yet, if you can get a scrap of it, I could probably do a little better than just take a glance from across a crowded room.
Yeah, well, we'll see what I can pull off. Appreciate the
Yeah.
sentiment regardless.
You know, it's... Let's try and keep our names out of this murder investigation for now.
Yeah, that was my goal.
And once we're free to move around and know that the Port Authority isn't looking at us directly, we can plan some more moves of our own.
And nods. Alright. Sounds like a plan. That's why I like you. You know how to navigate these situations.
Yeah. You too.
Hmm.
You're pretty adept at swimming with the sharks.
Eh. It's a lifestyle.
Make it sound like you've been here before.
Divine here.
No. Rubbing elbows with the high and mighty. Snooping around.
And shrugs.
It's a useful set of skills to have.
Eh.
Especially someone with a face like yours.
You mean a changeling face?
Yeah.
It comes in handy, I guess.
No. I won't be needing that particular skill set too often, I don't think, but good to know you have it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's one of your tools, if you choose to use it.
Sounds like you're warming up to working together.
Well, we're stuck here till this murder is solved. We're gonna have to work together unless you want to kick me out right now.
Nah. Wouldn't have gotten the hotel room if I felt that way. Save myself the money.
Oh yes, 'cause you're hurting for money.
Hey. Expenses pile up quickly when you're not really,
Winning fighting
gaining
tournaments?
any. Hey, I lost that.
Fair and square, I'm sure. I've never seen someone pull their punches before.
Damon shrugs.
Mum is the word.
No. Aren't we just a couple of cats with a whole bunch of secrets? Hey. Need to know basis, right?
Yeah, I can get behind that.
He nods. Good, good. Well, it's pretty late now.
Yeah, I'll get out of your hair. Pushes out of their chair.
Hey, sleep well.
You too. Thanks for the talk.
Anytime. Except for the next 8 hours, if you don't mind.
I think I can do that.
Night.
And does a little salute and slides out of the room.
You head back to your place.
Yep.
Luca, how are you doing?
I'm fine. It's not me that's
Are
the
you?
problem right now. Yeah. Am I? God?
And are you? I'm asking.
I don't
You been
see
doing
why we-
anything?
I checking on Willow.
Ma'am?
Checking on how.
Well, after Anne left, I imagined Luca would kind of shuffle over to Willow and kind of crouch beside them and wave to get their attention.
Okay, Willow looks at you.
Why don't you go and wash up?
Willow looks away. Like, they don't... Your words kind of roll off their head. Like, it looks like they don't want to hear that at the moment. It's hard to explain. It's just kind of ineffective, whatever you just said.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, make some sort of check to see if I can figure out what the best way to approach them would be.
Maybe an insight check? Okay, 16.
Okay. Yeah, I'll say Willow's making it quite apparent they want to be left alone.
All you can do is stick around. Not like directly in their space, but like
Yeah. Okay.
remind them that you're around when they need you and that you'll let them have their space for now.
I would bother
They
you.
are clearly not up for anything right now.
Well, I won't bother you, but you might feel better if you get comfortable, have a drink of water. And I'm here if you need me, so... And then I, like, point that I'm going to leave. Step away from them. Putter around. Maybe order a sandwich on Damon's money.
Cool. When Luca gets far away enough, I think Willow's going to remove their mask, and so that's magical. They don't actually physically need to take it off.
Yeah. Yeah. They
the
just
hat's been off.
deactivate the armor. Yeah.
Yeah. If not, it goes on the bedside. And then pretty quickly after the mask goes off, they put their bandana on. It's a
Okay.
black one. It seems like they just fished around in their pockets. Their party pockets are back open again after they were locked at the
Yeah.
auction.
My
Fish
favorite.
around in there. They don't have their usual bandana, but they've got this one out, which feels like... I think Willow might sort of pause when they see, like, this is the bandana they have grabbed, and it's like, okay, anyway. And they put it on and sort of tuck their ears into it, and then quickly just, with their shoes off as well, lie down on their side, facing the window. And I think
Yeah.
they will quickly fall asleep.
Yep. After puttering about a bit, Luca, you see Willow has gone to sleep. They're just passed out.
I didn't even think they took their glasses off.
Would they want me to?
You can
No, they don't want you near them.
Probably
In case it
not.
wasn't clear, Willow didn't
Yeah.
want... Willow waited
Yeah.
until you left before they did anything where it might risk you speaking to them or liaising with them at all.
I thought they were asleep.
That's what I mean. Like, they waited until you left.
so
the
that they could go
vicinity.
to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Honestly, if N wasn't back, Luca probably would have gone over and spoke with him and Damon.
I think N gets back at this point.
Yeah.
And I'll put my finger to my mouth so that they know to be quiet. And then point at Sandwich, because I probably ordered enough for me and Willow, but Willow is asleep, so...
Yeah.
And makes a gesture like, for me.
Luca nods and offers them. I imagine it's just like a salad sandwich. Something
Yeah, it's a
fresh and
pretty
light.
Yeah, it's probably like tomato and cheese
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Hmm.
Unfortunately not toasted.
This
No, I
night just
like
gets
that.
worse and worse.
I still think
It's a cold kitchen. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah, so
It's something to put in your stomach, aside from like party food.
Yeah. So, yeah, and we'll accept that and take some time to eat it.
I'll like tug my ear and then ask, did Damon tell you anything of note? That he's in love with someone?
What is this, school gossip? No, well, not that. He mentioned that Drakovich was probably part of the, what was it, Emerald Serpents?
Order of the Emerald
Emerald
Claw.
Order of the Emerald Claw. Are you familiar?
God, am I familiar?
Make a history check.
Oh.
I'd say with advantage.
Yeah. Okay,
Oh.
cool.
Yeah.
This is pertaining specifically to Karnath, so.
Oh!
The name sounds familiar. It's like, that's an order of knights. You think?
Oh.
That's it. That's all you know.
And a vague negative taste in my mouth.
Well, they're supposed to be broken up at this point, but
Oh, that's what everyone says, but
yeah, they're like a sliver you can't get out, from what I understand. Good way to describe Stanislav.
not really the kind of thing people go around advertising, though.
I mean, it sounds like they're trying to recruit people back into that kind of life.
I suppose.
So
See,
being loud and
to-
proud about your stance on the war would attract those kinds of people, and then next thing you know, you're pulled into that circle because maybe you shared some views and fall down a rabbit hole. Suddenly, you're doing some pretty awful stuff. At least that's what I would assume, considering the quality of Stanislav's character.
Lucky I met Secret Elsa when I came to Regalport and not him.
I get the feeling you're a good enough judge of character that you wouldn't have just gone along with whatever he said.
Well, apparently I spent most of my evening flirting with a murderer, so maybe not.
That's not been confirmed. Honestly, Stanislav has more going for him on that front than Arl does. Yes, Arl's sculpture was the murder weapon, but Stanislav, closer to Blood of All, closer to Undead.
I pull a face, like, of course. Make me look bad. Make my people look bad. My community.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a high chance that Stanislav is possibly a Blood of All radical. And then there's Vaelia, who is also a seeker, who is also from an island with the, what was it, Queen of the Undead? And she's good with magic.
The Queen or Vaethia?
Vaelia. Vaelia's good with magic, and she is from an island where they have a Queen of the Undead, and she's a seeker. Not that I'm putting all seekers together, obviously, but it's just proximity to the undead. You understand.
Yes, I do. Don't worry. I'm not offended. Much.
Oh, much. Ouch. Anyway, those are some interesting insights on who could have possibly been behind that kind of thing, but honestly...
How did it go with Beckett?
Ah, right. Well, Damon's expert advice is to stay away from him.
I could have told you that for free.
So could have I. Well, I tried to read his mind, but I couldn't get past some sort of defense. My spell just kind of slipped off. And it could have been Dark Lantern training, or it could have been something else. Apparently, he's just really covered in defensive magical items or something. Something that makes him hard to read.
Maybe he's like me. and he has no brain to read.
I really wish that was the case, but somehow I doubt it. Anyway, according to Damon, he has something that can help him see the truth of things or something. Maybe it's that monocle, I don't know. Damon couldn't get a read on what was doing it. But that's a good reason for us not to approach him ourselves, especially me.
We get insight check on N, see what their vibes are about this conversation.
Go ahead. They're very stressed.
Is that everything? Or did you find out the color of his underwear or something disgusting?
I don't know, the color of his pin. According to Damon, he had a pin on the inside of his coat, and is gonna gesture on their own coat to where they assume it probably was. It's I believe it was the symbol of the snapdragons, Luca.
Right.
So, rest assured that I don't think our friend has cut ties with them.
I'm gonna offer N my hand.
I'm fine. Thank you. En's got their fists in their lap, though.
Well, that's good news in a way. An active connection means we can follow it.
It's something. It's information, and that's good. Did Damon mention to you that the whole deal with Alonzo?
Luca shakes his head.
Well, apparently he's covered in transmutation magic. Which could mean he's just wearing a lot of magic makeup, but considering the volume, I'm gonna go ahead and doubt that it was all just about presentation in terms of looking nice.
Luca tilts his head a little bit. You mean he's someone else pretending to be the butler?
I can't draw any conclusions, but if I was to make reckless assumptions, yes, I would think he's not even Alonzo, or he's not... Something about him is not as he presents.
Why?
That's the question. The whole myriad of things. Anyway. I think that's kind of all that's important right now. We can all have a talk tomorrow about the details and what we all saw, and glances towards Willow.
I'm worried about them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they knew Tarek, but they were both from Siri. There's something there, I just can't quite put my finger on it yet.
I imagine shared tragedy is something that we just won't understand.
Yeah, probably not. It's something that's a bit hard to fathom. Anyway.
You once told me that I should let Willow to their secrets, yes?
I probably said something like that.
Is it still okay in a situation like this?
Well, they've been rather open with us more recently. It's not something we can pry out of them, but it's fair if you ask questions, I think. It's up to them if they answer them or not. Just don't push too hard. People with secrets tend to push away when you push them.
Give Anna a look. Speaking from experience.
I don't know.
Well, I do. So, I know you're full of secrets.
Oh no, my secrets.
I've unlocked them all by knowing that they exist.
Yeah, few too many of my secrets going around recently, but I guess this is the bed I've made.
Why don't you tell me a secret right now? And you'll feel better. Like, how many times did you go to the bathroom today?
How about this instead? I can make a mean chicken curry.
What? And you haven't?
And I haven't. One of my great shames.
I am offended on behalf of not only myself, but Seeker Elsa. I'm sure she would have loved to have your curry.
Look, if we can all get out of this without any of us going to jail, I'll be sure to make it for you. And Seeker Elsa.
I am holding you to that.
Speaking of, have you considered writing to her? Probably not going to be leaving Rigoport for a while. And she's going to worry if there's no word of what happened with us. I imagine stories of zombies at the auction hall are probably going to reach Salvage at some point.
Yeah, I will be going to the post office tomorrow, seeing if I can get something sent directly to her.
Good. Now, sounds like you have your bases covered.
All one of them.
End's gonna stretch. I'm gonna go wash up and try to get some sleep.
Alright. I'm just gonna... I imagine he was journaling before En got back, so he like taps his book and say, like, I'm gonna finish this first.
Good idea. Get all your thoughts in a row.
Opens the book, like, very noticeably, and gets a pen and writes just across one whole page, En owes me chicken curry. In En's view, so they can see it.
Wow, alright. Get the message.
It has
Like
a
I
whole
said,
page, so I will remember.
horrible secrets I keep.
What's a secret I can give you? I don't know what a secret's for me.
What's something you haven't told me about yourself?
I don't know, En. What haven't I told you?
I don't know, Luca. It's kind of hard to know what you haven't told me when you haven't told me.
It's hard for me to
Favorite
know 'cause I don't
color?
know what I know. I think that's obvious. I imagine it came up when we were designing Audrey.
It certainly was a prominent part of that palette.
Favorite animal?
My favorite animal is a tie between dogs and horses.
Dogs. And then dogs you can hitch a ride on.
Yeah. And cows, they're like horses, and then they're like dogs, but they give you milk and cheese. So they're like cheese dogs.
Well.
And seals are like fish dogs.
I think you got a bingo there, Luca.
Yeah. Luca's like, he's just had his world rocked.
Well, I'm glad we've uncovered a secret for you tonight. You like dogs in every arrangement.
Mm-hmm. I think most people do. If they say they don't, they're just lying.
Yeah, that's how you tell the bad apples from the good.
Yeah. I like cats too. They're like fluffy dogs, but with like more sharp bits. Like you.
Ah, yes. And a stray cat that wandered into salvage.
Don't you coax stray cats by feeding them? And I give Anne a smile.
Oh, shut up.
Go wash up.
And disappears into the bathroom.
Yeah.
Luca finishes journaling.
Yes.
You're lucky I'm asleep right now.
Yeah.
Presumably, you're lucky I'm presumably asleep right now. Otherwise, it'd be points me laughing at the two of you. Get married,
We were
suckers.
brain speaking, so you couldn't hear us.
Who says I
Fuck
can't
you.
read your brains?
Okay, Willow.
Science.
Don't add to my trauma. Yes.
So,
Does Willow seem like they would want the windows open or closed for the sun to come in the morning? So I think Luca would spend like a couple minutes standing at the window trying to decide whether he should open it or close it for them.
you leave it tilted slightly open.
Okay.
Middle of the road.
Yeah. So some sun can come in, but I
Well,
think
it won't hit their face.
yeah,
Just enough to
if
be
the sun
ambient.
comes up in that direction, it shouldn't hit their face. Okay, I'm happy with that.
You say it like the sun coming up in a specific direction is a variable factor.
Well, I don't exactly know which direction
You
the
don't know
sun's going
which
to come up
direction we're-
from
Yes.
this hotel.
Yes. It just made me laugh. Because you're saying all this. I'm sure Luca's standing there for a solid 10 minutes going, should I, shouldn't I? Willow literally dissociating from their
Dead to the
their
world.
mortal vessel. Just like, I could not care less.
I want the
Well, no,
vessel
it's
to be
fair.
comfortable when they come back.
Yeah, no, very fair. Just very funny.
It's
that
very-
What would Willow want? Willow's like,
I have never wanted anything, and I will never want again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then again, Willow is asleep.
yeah.
Oh my god, do we
Willow-
have pajamas?
I don't know. Maybe.
You could get robes probably from the hotel. Like, I think hotels have
Yeah.
robes.
Luca just sleeps in his underwear this time.
Wow.
Sorry,
And a
guys.
robe.
Poke your eyes out when you wake up.
Wow, look, robes! Sleeps naked.
Please, in the closet of this hotel, give us robes. I mean, it'll
I can
barely
imagine-
fit Luca, but at least it'll be something.
One on each arm. He ties them to each arm.
And then use the little, like, just tie strap around the middle to get it to
Yeah.
function a bit more like a robe.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, and is going into the bathroom. To...
Yep.
Oh my god. I know exactly what this means.
All of us just like, oh, great, ends at a mirror again.
I know. But yes,
I'm excited.
you're passed out.
Mim's excited.
I'll break the mirror if I have to. Damon's
Please don't. That's
Damon can
bad
pay
luck.
for it. I think I'm well past that.
You want things to get worse? I'm sure they could.
Oh,
Carry
yeah,
on, Rum.
absolutely sure they could. Yes, but it's not going to make noise by breaking the mirror. They
Yet.
yet. The night is young. No, it's not. They're gonna lock the door. And they, once they're alone, they take a slow breath. And with a sharp motion, they yank off their tie. They grip it in their fist. They wriggle out of their jacket, bundle it in with a tie, and hurl it across the room. And slam their hands down on the edge of the sink with their eyes closed. It's not difficult to tell that they are seething at that point. And when they open their eyes are green. And in their mind, they begin to chastise themselves with thoughts like, you said you were going to get him tonight. You said you'd stop at nothing to read his mind, at least, but look at you. You had him right there, and you let him walk away. he might have killed someone and you let him. Every person he hurts when you're in a position to do something. Or blood on your hands. And look at Willow. I struggled all night for your stupid mission and you don't have anything to show for it. Worthless. You could have read the minds of that whole room, but you dropped the spell. You think this world gives a shit about your morals? You're too soft. Wake up! You must be smarter and quicker than everyone else. You don't have any other choice.
We have time.
Do we?
Beckett hasn't spotted us yet, nor has his minion Reedfoot. We'd know if they spotted us.
Might not be in Regalport for much longer. He could probably pay his way out of this place.
He can't leave Regalport yet either. They're stuck just like us. And if he doesn't want to raise suspicion, he'll play along.
What good's that gonna do us if we can't even get into his head?
You don't have to get into his head, necessarily.
No,
There's
we
always
don't.
a trace of something.
We don't.
Nobody's clean enough.
Yeah, we're no longer playing the nice game. Anyone here is fair game. Not holding back on that spell anymore. It was stupid to do it in the first place.
You saw what they did to the poet. Like what they did to the others. The display.
Yeah. Sure did. Not gonna pretend like I'm a good guy anymore. Not for this. So we're not. We're not the good guys. But we are gonna get them. We are going to destroy them and everything they've built. We will do it by any means necessary.
We knew this was going to be a long hunt. We knew there would be setbacks.
Yeah,
Patience.
patience. And his eyes are brown again now.
Patience.
Staring themselves down in the mirror. But they will take a few more breaths to calm themselves down. Wash their face and just try to compose themselves before they step back out into the main room and go to bed.
I think I heard them like slamming something, like their hands on the table.
I mean, maybe the dull slap of their hands hitting the porcelain of the sink, but
Make a perception check.
Intuition is perception. Yep.
Ooh.
19?
I think you heard some, like, shuffling. It is maybe not that much of a stretch to imagine that N is...
Angrily pacing. Or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. You would not be surprised that they are very frustrated.
Okay.
But
Well,
it doesn't sound like they're breaking anything.
yeah.
It just sounds like they're processing.
Well, I imagine that Luca was waiting to wash up until after N. So as I pass, I just put my hand out like as a request to touch them. And if they let me, just gently jostle their shoulder.
yeah, and we'll like look at Luca's hand and allow it.
And just say, good night. And then
Good night.
squeeze and then continue on.
Yeah. And we'll throw themselves into bed, and I don't know how much they'll sleep, but they'll give it a shot.
You're tired.
Yeah.
All right. I think one more scene before we head to intermission.
Oh.
You both sleep through the night. Willow sleeps in. I'm assuming you don't try and wake them.
No.
Right. So.
Unless they seem like they're in distress in their sleep.
No. Nah,
It's a good
they
sleep.
just seem like exhausted asleep.
Yeah. Then leave them to it.
Okay.
For a little while.
For mechanical purposes, do recall they are exhausted. Like they have a point of exhaustion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they overdid their spells again.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, Willow, you wake up. You don't know when. You don't bother checking the clock. You feel disoriented, like you haven't fully rested.
Mm.
Like you slept, but you wake up feeling like you've been lying on the floor.
Yeah.
If I may, I think
Yeah?
Luca would have gotten some fruit and some fresh water and put it on their bedside table in case they're not there when Willow wakes up, so they still have something to eat as they're waking up. Yeah.
I imagine at this point in time, Luca and Anna are at the post office. Or at least
Yeah.
Luca is. And is also probably out.
Yeah, I'll go with him if he is going to
Yeah.
send a letter.
So. Yeah. Willow, you wake up feeling bad.
I don't think Willow like you said, they don't like know where they are initially. And it'll take a bit, I think, as any details start to come through. There's the fact the window is nearby, and I think seeing the sky through the window helps in some way, but it's also still like, this isn't my boat, obviously. And then as they sort of tell themselves like, oh, I am in Regalport, the auction last night, it's like everything starts coming back at once, and it's just headache sets in, and nothing is coherent. It's the same kind of noise, like insurmountable noise
Yeah.
of just way too many thoughts happening at once, and
Yeah.
all of them so awful.
Yeah.
And I imagine they kind of roll onto their back. They're glad that they're in the room alone, and they sort of press their palm into their forehead, and like squeeze their eyes shut. They've felt like this before. They felt this like jumble of way too many thoughts in this kind of heavy mood back at Skyshriek Reef
Yeah.
after Roselia's death, I believe.
Yeah.
But like this time's different. There's like a different kind of weight to this. They feel like they're being like pressed into the bed. Like they want to stay. They woke up. They would prefer not to be awake. They want to sleep for like a few days, or they don't know what days are anymore. They just want to sleep. And when they recognize as well that train of thought, they are like, that's another upsetting thing. Like that they can acknowledge that they are in a mood where they don't feel like being awake or here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that just worsens the noise and the pressure and the headache. And they know that they can't like afford to be like this. Like they can slip back into it, but it's no time to slip back into it. And they will have to talk to the others and share the findings and talk about what happened. But they can't even think of what happened without hitting a roadblock. It's like a hollow space full of, it's not really hollow because it's like nothing, the presence of nothingness. Reaching it like makes Willow just want to shut down again. So it's, they can't do this. They can't sleep for the next however long in this hotel room. There's stuff to do. So Willow's going to close their eyes and cross their hands over their stomach and activate their wild hunt shifter mode, so their nose goes long, their ears go long. It's only under their bandana. The bandana is helping them not get overwhelmed by like their random new sounds. But they are like honing in on specific sounds, like the ocean, I imagine, in Regalport.
Yeah, you can hear the ocean in the distance, the keening of seagulls, the quiet bustle of the hotel around you. There's like clinking of plates being moved, wheels going along, the rumble of wagons in the streets, the ticking of a clock on the wall.
I think Willow will focus on that more so as they start sort of filtering out the noises of the street and like narrowing in the space of the quiet. The clock will be the main thing that they're focusing on, trying to like settle their breathing to the rhythm of it.
Yeah. You slowly push out each sound until there's only the clock, and then you push that one out as well. And then there is silence. Stars sparkle behind your eyelids. Quickly. Hold on. Music. You push yourself into a space inside your mind. Focus. You are back at the auction hall, or some approximation of it. Everything is the same, but slightly off. The walls of the room are blurry at the edges. People move like ghosts, faceless and nondescript. And there's a pool of blood around the base of the dragon statue that nobody is paying attention to. Guests are speaking, but you can hardly hear the conversation over the whooshing, howling wail coming from the large white painting at the other end of the gallery. If you stop to listen, you swear you can hear the sounds of sobbing, screaming, bleeding. So many that you can't even pick out individual voices. So, Willow doesn't. What do you do, Willow? What are you here for?
I'm here to find him before the events of the night begin to fall apart.
All right. You see him out of the corner of your eye, Tarek Elham. His outfit all black, solid-ish. You can't see him proper, but He's the clearest thing in the room. Suddenly, Stanislav is there, or the shape of his aggression anyway. Loud, red, braying, sharp. Tarek storms off. You're having trouble seeing his face. Tarek's face. The harder that you try and find it, the more it feels like it distorts. He is equally vivid and obscured.
Willis. This happened faster than they would have liked in their reflection. And even so, they are stuck on following him. They know they have to. This is a memory. It's not make-believe. It will follow the same path as what happened. It's just that same hesitation that lifted there is back again, but this time Willow's more aggravated by it. But they will follow. Of course they will. That's what they did.
Behind Willow, Meraldine challenges Stanislav to a duel. You killed him!
That's incorrect.
You killed him! You killed him!
Keep moving. I would like to follow
Willow
him.
follows Tarek. Can't change anything. You can't notice anything you didn't see, but maybe you can put together pieces that you didn't know where to place before. It's the exact same swift walk to the bathroom, except that there is nothing tangible about the space that you're in. You feel sort of the shape of the walls around you, but you can't see them. You see a door, as if it's suspended in nothingness. The chatter, the hubbub that followed the altercation, it settles into an ambient whisper, like distant wind. Muffled through the doors, the sound of the painting, the white wall that you can't bear to face. What do you do? The door is in front of you.
I'd like to open it.
You reach your handle for the door. There's drops of blood on the floor. A trail leading in.
Maybe like to open it. It's not the correct words. I open it.
Your hand goes through the door.
Open the door.
You try again. It's like the door isn't there, really. It's a figment of your mind. You know that. You know how the space works. You have to visualize opening the door. Remember opening the door.
I have already opened this door. The door opens.
Steadying breath, you grip the handle and find your way inside. There's a plip, plip, plip over the sink. The sounds of crying echoes here. Distant voices, wailing in anguish, broken sobs. The creaking, coughing, bloodied croak of throats gone hoarse from screaming. It's all contained within this space. And there he is, Tarek Elham. The sound emanates from him. A cloud of human despair that clings to him like his own skin. It's so overbearingly loud. You can barely find your thoughts in it. The noise it's everywhere. What do you do?
At this point, I spoke to him.
Tarek speaks first. Siri no longer exists.
That wasn't him. Wilfred said that.
Or do you believe in punishing someone from beyond the grave as well?
It's still wrong. That's Wilfred again.
Stop being clever about it. We don't need clever, we need you.
Well, it feels like they've jumped back, like they're going to leave. But this isn't that. This isn't that part. This is...
Make an intelligence check. You can't parse facts when you're in this state. You have to focus on something concrete. Something that you can see. Make a perception check. Without disadvantage.
Without?
Yeah. Room slips until you center it by returning to the memory, focusing on the embroidery of Tarek's shoulder. You remember the pattern clearly. You remember the thread count, the stitching. Black on black. You anchor yourself to the memory of him. The scene filters back in, and it goes on as remembered. Tarek, speaking to you. Anything remembered can never be destroyed.
Willie nods. That's him.
He's coming into focus now. You can see the shape of his face in profile, except he hadn't been crying. In your peripheral vision, you glance pink, red, filling the sink.
I think Willie naturally looks like they catch sight of that in their peripherals and they sharply look forward. But the mirror is forward.
Yeah. Can't see your own face. It's out of focus. But Tarek's is finally clear. There are bloodied holes where his eyes should be, his face unmoving, mouth ajar as it had been when his body was discovered, skull suspended by the fangs of the dragon. You suddenly become aware of your boots sticking to the tiles. Stench of blood all around you. The blood won't stop pouring out of his face. The smell of blood threatens to make you sick. The words surface, despite his mouth not moving. The conversation continues on, as if the gruesome sight didn't even exist. Like you said, those who see me will remember Siri. When you last left off, you introduced yourself, shook his hand.
So I should...
You have to bring yourself to shake his hand. Can you? Make a charisma saving throw.
Do I have disadvantage on this?
Nope. You steel yourself. You know you have to do this. You won't be cowed by your own pain. You shake his hand. Introduce yourself. Willow Jenkins.
Tallybrook.
Tara Gilham. Making.
Can I roll an insight check?
What are you trying to deduce?
Anything about... Or maybe it's a perception check. His physical appearance. Any details I might have missed. But then also an insight check because of the way he said things. Because I feel like Willow feels like they missed things. They were too busy, lost in their own projections onto him, that they weren't paying close enough attention to the details. That might have actually helped. So,
make an insight check. Just
insight
flat
check.
roll.
Okay.
He was irritable, lashed out easily. It took a lot of focus for him to make himself calm when you were lurking. He snapped at you, gathered himself again. He had a hard time looking at himself in the mirror. And he mentioned having a headache. Actually, so did Meraldine. Another headache.
Does he look unwell at all?
Yes. It was covered up by makeup a bit, but there were definitely circles under his eyes. His hand was cool when you shook it. You didn't notice at first because of the gloves. Both yours and his. The real question is, why would somebody want to kill Tarek Elham like that?
I don't know if Willow's going to last much.
Make what would you say is the most fitting for this? Willow does not want to be paralyzed by this, so they have to pick a way to move forward. Are you going to treat this as a puzzle to solve? Are you going to face this as an attack to cause terror and suffering?
I'm not actually sure. I think one of the things that occurs, one of the thoughts that catches on Willow especially after noting that he looks unwell, and whatever that means, and reflecting back on basically the rest of the auction and how he was acting at the time, assumptions were made. Looking back, different assumptions are being made, and those assumptions make Willow more distinctly sad to think about. But it's not that all-encompassing kind of like inarticulate or like it's not the sort of sadness that they can't put a pin in. I think the sadness that approaches them now shows on their face as like something that would never shown on their face even with their mask off. It shows as very open sympathy and like almost apology to Tarek.
Yeah.
And not the same kind of rambling, sorry. It's
Despite everything that Tarek Elham stood for, he was also himself just a man. Who was killed.
One of the Willow knows this is a memory. There is no point playing around with memories. What's done is done. But there's a little, just a quiet question of, they can't even say it in their own brain.
Make a wisdom saving throw.
Okay.
Just flat. Yeah. You can't say it to yourself. Not enough.
I think there's the fact that they can't say that out loud annoys them, upsets them. Their head kind of hangs low. They ended that conversation with Tarek in real life, like on a sort of level playing field, but now I think they've just kind of sagged under this weight of the things that they should have really said, but didn't. And I think they might snap themselves out of it. No, they might wait to like come back to Earth
Yeah.
Just weighted by apology.
Yeah. You come back. It is the day of the 19th of Dravago. Previously, we were around about in the wee hours of the morning. Luca and En, you went to the post office, yes?
Yep.
We did.
We went to drop off a letter.
I would like to ask the person if I could have it delivered today.
Cool.
Can I have
yeah,
it, like,
that'll cost you.
messengered?
Couriered?
Yeah. I would like a man to run this to my nana, please.
Yeah.
Right now. I am not allowed.
How much is that gonna cost?
Let me look it up real quick.
However much it takes.
Lucas slaps down 100 gold coins and shovels,
Like a platinum piece on the table.
and
What do I
shovels
need?
it back into his wallet. Like,
Eh.
let's not announce our riches, shall we?
Lucas slaps
Man
the
goes
gold
to
on the table,
post
like,
off.
find me a man.
We are not that kind of service, sir.
Allow me to elaborate. He means a courier.
Like, find me a man, the quickest man you have.
Most agile man.
For sale.
Oh, man.
I can't stand it.
Anyway.
Bring me your most virile male
Stop it!
Nope.
to run me a letter.
You mean agile. Luca.
Okay.
The word you're looking for is agile.
Oh, what did I say?
Let's just carry on.
It'll be 2 silver.
Oh, that's nothing.
Good for you.
Okay, rich bitch.
Yeah. Salvage is not very far away, so it's not that
Yeah.
expensive, but it is like that's expensive for postage.
It's like $20, right?
No, it's like
200?
Don't worry about it!
less.
Oh, I can't remember what silver means. I would like to discuss the compound interest of the bank account I started at some point to see if I actually
Oh,
increase my
God.
savings. Thank you.
Do it in your own time. Nobody liked
pirate
that.
You just find your money gone one day, stolen by Prince Record. Kidding. What were you saying?
No,
Steve?
he's my friend. He won't steal from me.
Oh, please. I'm sure that's what
Yeah.
Colton said.
Did he steal from you, or did he just try to murder you? You know, like
Carry on. I'm paying my fantasy.
Okay. Anyway, after that tangent, yes, you managed to go to the post office with N, write a letter to Seeker Elsa. What do you say in that letter, by the way? I am curious.
I would say, my beloved Seeker Elsa, I hope this letter finds you well. Many things happened last night, but you don't need to worry. You will hear about a murder and many zombies, but I am fine. And it's fine. Willow is sad. I might bring them to see you when we come back. Damon is fine, but I don't think you really care about him. I miss you. Don't have too much fun without me. I'll be back as soon as I can. Big heart emoji.
Okay.
Luca.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, that tracks.
Can't believe you wrote with your whole heart. I don't think you really care about Damon, though. Anyway,
Does she even know who that is? Like,
Yeah,
She's probably heard about
dinner
him,
together
considering
once.
how much you talk.
True. Yeah, true. She saw me fight him.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so you run that letter to Seeker Elsa.
Yeah.
You've also had breakfast with N and Damon at the hotel, I imagine,
Yeah.
and then went to the post office. You let
Well,
Willow
while we're
sleep
out-
in.
Does anything catch my eye as something Willow might enjoy? Like a snack or a funny pen, you know?
Well, Willow does love bready, cakey things.
Yeah. So I'll probably get them something from the bakery.
You
'Cause
could
they'll
get
probably
him a
be
couple
hungry.
muffins.
Yeah. English muffins.
Can I? No. Can I meet you guys there? Like, can Willow just be there?
No, you slept
that
in and then you
timing?
star-dodged wandered.
Oh, are you guys okay? Is this during my wandering? I'm too busy.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, you're occupied.
Never mind. Didn't know what time of day it was.
But once Willow, you are like, I assume either leaving the shower or fully out of it is when Luca and En return to the hotel room.
I'm gonna say
I just
we
want to
got
ask.
literally fresh made croissants. So Willow can smell them as we're coming in. It's delicious. Yes, what would you like to ask?
I want to ask if En and Luca had any more conversation with Damon, because I think Damon was like, we should have a team debrief about what's going on.
Yeah, and would agree
Where's
with
Willow?
that.
Asleep? Okay.
Yeah, and would like agree that yes, we should all put our heads together and debrief. But Willow is still asleep,
Yeah,
so we'll have that conversation when Willow wakes up. Otherwise, maybe they'll and we'll like have Damon go over some of the information they talked about last night for Luca's sake, just to make sure to confirm details.
And I imagine Luca would have said that, like, we should extend the option for Willow to be here, even if they just like choose not to be.
Yeah, to listen in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if they want. But yes, we will sort the Willow issue out before we have more conversations about what happened. I think.
Good. Double checking.
May I? Yeah.
I'm gonna spend the gold on food. No, it's silver.
No.
Okay.
You don't need to.
Silver.
I will say, or can I say, are you guys back at the room? May I describe
I
what
would
Willow's probably doing?
say that, Luca and En returned back to the room late morning, let's say. You had a good breakfast and slept in a bit since you were all very tired after that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You may describe what they return to when they knock and then open the door.
I think Fish Dog greets you.
Oh. I brought you food. I hold up the bag to Fish Dog.
Fish Dog beep whoops.
Where's your owner? And like looks past
if you
Fish Dog.
If you glance into the room, I imagine Willow's open the window like fully, plus the glass, so that like fresh air is coming in, and they're sort of sitting in the light. They have eaten the fruit that Luca left, as well as drunk the water. And I think they, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to say, you know how Fish Dog prints out little stuff, like it printed out the prophecy once, and it printed out a letter for Luca once. Well, not a letter, but like a note.
Message.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Fish Dog like beep boops acknowledges that it's you guys, and then comes back to Willow and just like prints out another little letter, it's almost like a receipt.
Yeah.
Which Willow takes and places on the bed, and you see that they have a whole bunch of them just kind of laid out on a probably a large, thick scrap of leather.
Oh, are they like conspiracy theorying?
They are mind mapping, yes, with
Yeah.
basically scraps of receipt.
And-
Fish Dog literally uses receipt roll paper from like checkout counters to print.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty
much.
much what I've imagined. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know how like old timey calculating machines with the like handle where you crank?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is basically inside a Fish Dog.
Yeah.
And does a little impressed whistle. Someone's been busy.
Not just me, it seems.
I brought you
Willow
breakfast.
Willow offers you both like a quick smile before going back to their work. It's a closed mouth smile. Going back to their working. I imagine they're sort of sticking them in with very like shallow thumbtacks, like I forgot what they're called in leatherwork, but Willow seems like they'd have like at least 100 of those in their pocket.
Oh,
Just a
for
little,
sure.
little
Yeah.
pin.
Yeah, the little divot things, just pinning down names and like arranging them. What did Luca say? You brought food?
Brought you breakfast.
No, thank you.
Brunch, I guess.
I had fruit for breakfast. Thank you. I assume that was you.
I bought 3 different ones because I didn't know which one you would like to eat, so have as much as you want.
Willow will nod gratefully and then sort of look back over there.
Yeah, I think
They're thinking.
and is kind of not moved super close to Willow, obviously. They're probably on the other side of the mind map, but they've leaned in a bit to observe what the
Can we look?
messages are.
Yeah, you can look. Willow's not making any sign that you're not allowed near them.
Oh, I know some of these names.
As you
That's
should.
me!
It is. Wait, what do we like?
Just happy to be thought of.
Yes.
No, Luca was pointing at a random pin, literally.
No, Willow might have. I'll think about that later. But Willow's going to ask, have you spoken to Damon?
We had breakfast.
I had a brief conversation with him last night, but as for this morning, we generally decided that we should have a group debrief. So no.
When is... Willow's going to look at the clock. When is the newspaper out in Regalport? Would it be out now?
There's a morning edition and a evening edition. The evening edition, admittedly, is handed out at 4 p.m. I imagine it's like close to noon, and the morning edition is usually like
Not
slower.
breaking the news. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then Willow will probably just say, we have until 4 when the news comes out. But I suppose we can have a meeting in the interim.
Yeah, plenty of time to pick through all the information we must have.
Indeed. Willow just will secure all of the names in the...
Did I get him? Our generous employer?
Is his room bigger? Which room do you think we would...
There is less furniture in Damon's room, so there is more space for stuff.
Yeah.
Need help carrying it
let's
over?
miss his room. No, I think it's the kind of thing that Willow could fold it like 3 times and fit it back in their pocket.
Nice, okay. Alright,
Yeah.
well, and we'll lead the way then. Knock on
I
Damon's
make an
door.
insight check on Willow as we're walking.
Yeah, I assume so.
You can.
Oh, okay.
Yeah?
Go for it, big boy. Damn!
Shit.
What's that, a 22?
22.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think Willow's trying to do anything, or they might passively be trying. No, they're not actually really trying to do anything. They're just here.
Yeah.
How are they
Yeah.
here?
You probably notice they're a bit out of it still, but they're not openly miserable. They are functional and working. Fishdog is sticking to them. Like it probably newmed over to the door because it was checking who's that. But
Yeah.
It has otherwise been floating around them, and I think Willow might be holding it occasionally, like idly rolling it in their hand.
Do I have enough insight onto Willow to know what it means when Fishdog is like sticking to them?
Well, Fishdog is used as a comfort creature.
I'm going to suggest that
Grounding
Luca
tool.
has probably seen N holding it to
Yeah.
comfort
Mm.
themselves.
Willow did lob it at N when they were having an anxiety attack, so...
Yep. And Willow has lobbed it at Luca to hold when he was feeling bad. So Willow is doing their best to cope. And so far it's working pretty well.
Okay.
Alright, so N is going to knock on Damon's door.
Yep.
Bring up the rear.
He opens it up and says, "Ah, good, you're all here. Let's get straight to business then."
Sounds good.
A cat flies out of Damon's window.
Friend of
Yeah.
yours?
Yeah, I don't know where they came from. I just keep collecting cats. I don't know.
Are you feeding them?
Oh my god, if Damon had a cat,
They have
that would,
names.
Like, exponentially.
David secretly feeds the cats of the local area. Just
Stop.
puts out little bits
Please.
of chicken.
Anyway,
God.
you set up on the dining, the like little round cafe table that's in Damon's room. There are chairs.
Willow would also check on the kettle. They want tea with this, and also the muffins are laid out
There
for
is-
everyone to have one. Not all for Willow.
There is no kettle.
They don't have. Not
This
even a
is
We
stove.
can order tea, I
No.
guess, but
Yeah, this is not the kind of hotel where you have a kitchenette. This is the kind of hotel where you get room service.
well, that just blows Willow's whole plan out of the water, apparently.
We order
Willow
like
pulls a
cute
kettle
tea
out of their
set.
pocket.
It's like there is no.
There's
Damon's
no
like,
water.
there's
Oh, wait,
there's
in the
no
bathroom.
stove. You could like, yeah, it's like.
We could make a fire.
No, it's okay. The kettle goes back into Willow's pocket. Never mind.
Damon can order tea if you like.
It's not
Yes,
that
please
urgent,
order
don't
us
worry about
a kettle or a pot or whatever they call it. A pot of tea, please, and some biscuits and some cake.
No. We don't need biscuits. We have cake. Willow's not saying this, but there is. Anyway, Willow's also remembering last time
This
they
is
were
all
in this
meta
room.
anyway.
Yeah. Last time they were in this room was a rough time. I think Willow's looking at the chair that they sat
Yeah.
in last time, just like lol, cringe. Anyway.
Big emotions isn't cringe, Willow.
Okay.
You!
Yeah, Willow's going to occupy the table. Muffins are out, and
They were croissants and they're
they
all for
will
you.
croissants. They're for everyone, and
There
Willow
are-
will lay open. will lay out the leather mind map that they started making,
Mm-hmm.
and bring out their book.
Okay. Damon glances over it. He's got a pretty good angle. While Willow is just... Damon looms like a few feet behind you, looking at over your shoulder. Not very hard for him.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, this helps visualize the situation, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we begin?
Well, here's my thought. Are we getting involved in this?
Obviously,
In what?
The murder investigation.
I guess not that obvious to everybody.
I think I made my stance pretty clear last night. This isn't something I can ignore.
Right. Of course. Of course.
Having second thoughts, Sir Ardantego?
I would have preferred not to get involved in a murder investigation, if I can help it, but it's pretty clear that you three have something to say about it, one way or another. So my question is, how are you going to approach it?
That is the question.
I don't think any of us knew the man.
And peers over at Willow now.
Same.
I think Willow notices you both look at them and like their ears like shift beneath their bandana and they look up. I didn't know him either.
You did disappear the same time he did.
Oh well, I spoke to him in the bathroom, but
What was he like?
sad.
Hold on. How about we start with established things that we know?
Indeed. So, Was looking over their written notes now. They would have written, like, you guys noticed that it's their usual journal where they take notes.
Yeah.
So we learnt a lot.
And flips open a
About
little
everything.
pocketbook as well.
Luca has his journal. He keeps his nose. Oh, that's my pen. Sorry.
Well, we know who the victim was.
And we have a few people, suspects, I suppose. Though we do have the clear
that
vantage
already?
point. Well, everybody there is a suspect that we know of.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
just to get it out of the way, you didn't do it, did you? I say to Damon.
I was in there with the room with you. No. What?
Okay. I didn't see you, so just making sure.
Yeah, you didn't see me because you were covered in smoke. I was
He
at the
was-
other end of the room opening the door.
He was there, Luca. He's got a pretty solid alibi. If you want evidence, we can go examine a particular zombie's skull, and I'm sure you'll see the indents of Damon's knuckles upon it.
Willow
Damon
rolls their eyes
his
very...
eyes.
Oh, shut up. Be quiet. Gosh.
Anyway.
No, okay, Willow's going to jump the gun and try and correct this conversation. Maybe suspects is too strong of a word. Perhaps we could talk about what we found interesting at the event, considering how we approached it.
There are people with certain capabilities that certainly lend to them having the tools necessary to pull something like that off, but that does not necessarily make a suspect.
Are we talking the blood of all folks?
That's
Is that what you're saying?
Certainly a strong contender. Dragovich
Indeed,
and
this
Ilya.
that we know of.
Specifically, Dragovich is probably a member of the Order of the Emerald Claw. Known extremists.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's quite extreme. And we do know, well, I was going to say this, but I don't know if they shared it. We do know that the zombies were summoned or otherwise already present in the room.
Oh, they were?
What?
That's a fact?
Yeah. Oh. Yes.
I mean, I guess it makes sense, but...
Were they, like, under the chairs?
Willow shrugs.
Ooh.
Well, the gas was caused by magic, so... I guess the
Magic
undead could
uses-
have... Magic could have covered the undead somehow, too. I don't know.
Shrugs. What we do know is that they emerged during Jaylee's.
Yes, we know
Yes.
they emerged during that.
And also that
It was planned.
they were after Ryger.
They were after Riker.
Just as
Allegedly.
dire sharks. No, they were moving towards him.
But that doesn't mean that was an actual sticking point.
Oh, it doesn't mean that the
Yeah.
intention was to kill him,
Yeah.
but they were
Yes.
moving towards him, probably
It
to
was-
take the attention of the main person in the room
Yes. Was
as a diversion, perhaps.
grand
don't know.
display. That's what it all
Well,
felt like.
yes. They didn't kill him, but they sure weren't for a lack of trying on their part.
I'm not sure if it mattered if Ryger got out of that alive.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. He owes us a favor.
It matters
I mean,
to
to the killer.
the culprits.
Oh. Okay.
Obviously, we don't want anyone else to die. Good thing he
What
did.
else we do know is who else wasn't in the room at the time. Tarek wasn't there. Willow pauses a little. I think that's the first time they've said his name.
Yeah.
Anyway, Errol wasn't there. Dragovich wasn't there. Warford was there. I don't
Yeah.
recall seeing Ilya.
Me either.
And
Merilene
Merilene?
briefly left the room. She
Ah,
briefly left the room. She was upset. She came back more upset than when she left. Her and Tarek had an argument shortly after I spoke with him.
hmm.
So
right?
That's questionable.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Edmund was in the room, but I am obviously not convinced he's not involved somehow. Being in that room could be some sort of alibi, some greater part he played.
Was his butler with him?
Yeah.
always. That we know of. Dressed as thickly as he is. Then
Yeah.
again, I don't believe that this is probably the work of one person. This could be an entire group. Granted, we do have a particular bias towards the things that N has told us.
Yes,
But that is a bias that might otherwise work in our advantage, because it is niche information.
it's certainly something that I don't think Madani is aware of.
That we know of.
I don't think.
How familiar are you with House Madani? Will is asking of Damon.
Passingly familiar. They tend to keep to themselves. I haven't had need of hiring them personally. So I don't know that well myself. I will say, however, the woman that came forward at the end there announced herself to the room. She'd been sticking pretty close to us during that evening.
Really?
Before
Yeah, she was in
everything
the-
happened?
Yeah.
Anyone specific out of the three of us? We spread out a bit.
I think she was following you, Little White.
Oh, good. Just what I need.
Damn. Not as sneaky as we thought then.
Eh,
Oh well. Bound to happen.
Oh, you weren't the only person she was wandering around after. I didn't notice her that much until we sat down because she was sitting in a row right behind us.
Who else was she looking at?
Uh-huh. Seems like she was probably looking at everyone.
think she expected trouble, or is this just a casual demeanor for Madani?
Well, I don't know.
I guess
Was she at the Madani place that you went to?
she was on the plaque, which, yes, I suppose since we're here, you might as well know, Damon, that I did go to the Madani office in Regalport, and I tried to scrounge up some information on the aforementioned corpse found at the birth. I
You
wasn't
think
wearing
maybe
this
she's
face.
making the same connection?
Maybe.
Likely.
Well, she
Even
thinks
without
Anne's
the
involved.
well, you are. We all are.
Either way, I don't think it went unnoticed that I was digging there. I wasn't wearing this face nor this name, but I'm sure they have connections. They might be able to figure something out, which could explain why I was being followed around, but I could also be being paranoid. It just might as well be on the table now.
May Mim do a history check to see if I know anything about like House Madani being able to identify changelings or identify look past masks or stuff like that?
Good question. I think this would be an Arcana check.
Arcana. Can I? We'll see how I roll first, and then. Oh, not bad.
Damn.
Okay.
22,
Well,
not
they
bad.
might not have been able to identify you as a changeling, at a glance, but there are ways of tracking people that don't involve looking at their face.
Right.
Oh my god, they bugged you.
No, not even that. It could be something as simple as, do you change the soles of your shoes?
Yeah. And would know if they were bugged, but there are other ways to track a person.
Yeah. People often get caught up in high-tech magical solutions, which leaves them vulnerable to low-tech non-magical solutions.
Nice. I think Willow might kind of like laugh to themselves and be like, well, for as long as you didn't kill anybody.
Nope.
And for as long as House Madani isn't poisoned, then
Always a
might not be
possibility.
too bad.
But yes, my hands are clean in this regard. Speaking of clean hands, I do have some information about Jaylee to share that I don't know if will be relevant or not, but since we're making a map of the situation and gestures to Willow's whole arrangement, might as well put down all the details.
Mm-hmm.
So, from the read I could get from her, she seems pretty honest. Of course, that doesn't mean she is. But what I got from her is that she has a dead father. He was a Brailish knight. I didn't dig more on that, but I do know that he was a Brailish knight on the Western Front. Yes, Sen is looking at their notes. So that puts a bit of a hitch in my thoughts, but let me go through them first. For one, we never found out Kelson's origins exactly. He was an ex-soldier, we know that, but we're not entirely sure of what variety. If Jaylee has a dead father and one that still seems to weigh on her mind, who was once a knight, it's not out of the question that she might have a vendetta against an ex-soldier. But that doesn't really explain how she might connect to Tarek, as the Western Front is about as far from Ciri as it gets, in terms of Braylon's layout. That's the only way I could think to connect her at the time, other than the obvious red in her sculpture, but according to her, that's quite common for people at her workshop, the kind of red glass she used. So it doesn't really single her out, necessarily.
Willow seems to be writing down your thoughts anyway. They did note that her dead father, because it was commented on, I believe, in the auction, that the statue was a dedication to her late father.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But the extra information is interesting, and Willow has put with a question mark revenge, which is very suitable for anything that N says. That is the conclusion.
Well, on that note, the woman that I spoke to with red in her painting, I don't think she was involved. She seemed more interested in putting distance between herself and violence than anything else.
Willow gives a wry smile of like, well, that worked out well for her, didn't it? With like blood-soaked art gallery that she ended up being at with a what feels like a politically charged death. But anyway, that's just the look on Willow's face. But so it looks like Madeline Leonard. And Willow will sort of put a little cross next to Madeline Leonard, ruling her out as a potential suspect.
If you're alright with me making that judgment call.
Yep.
I'm also going to put forward a suggestion. Thought. Cassie could be a breach. She was willing to work with me and make some under-the-table deals. If something was set up, it sounds like it might have been with the undead and all of that sounding like it was put in place before we even got into the room. I mean, she let us in there early. If we had had half a mind to set up some sort of sabotage or death trap, we could have.
Oh.
Might be good. You could speak to her.
We do have a history, so yes. If anyone is going to get information out of her, it probably is going to be me.
I'm sure as long as you can convince her you won't compromise her, she wouldn't mind.
Yep, I can give her a few sweet words, some pancakes, it'll be simple enough.
Luca nods like he understands completely. Yeah, pancakes would convince me too.
Oh, good.
Damon sort of looks a bit concerned. Oh, if there's one leak, There's usually more.
Yeah. That is the
But
problem.
at least this is one we
Especially
can
considering it
accept.
sounded like your contact wasn't particularly discreet.
No. If you know what to look for, she was the kind of person that you knew you could approach for things that were not entirely above board.
I wonder how many of the Grand Auction Hall stuff were dealing off the books.
Mm. Can I tap into my memory of when I was looking for people to do crime dealings with way back before I met Willow and Luca, and try to think if there
Aw.
was anyone there that
Poor
caught my
guy.
eye aside from Tassi?
Okay. Make a... Let's say a history check.
Okay.
Because you probably wrote notes on,
Probably.
Okay. Tassi was definitely the one that you could probably approach the easiest. Because she wasn't really in it for the money.
Mm. Yeah.
But you're pretty sure that, there were other people that would have accepted bribes.
Yeah, so it's gonna flip back quite far on their little pocketbook and go over some notes and explain that to the others.
Yeah, you don't have any, names other than Tassi.
Yeah, just some descriptions, probably.
Yeah.
Big. You might be able to pay off some others, but Tassi, you could pay with some fun stories and a little excitement.
Not
Doesn't
ideal.
bode well for a setup.
It does not. But I doubt she's the
There's-
kind of person that would want to have gotten herself involved in a murder. That's probably a bit too much excitement for her blood, so maybe she'd be willing to talk.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but you could scare her with the possibility of being outed for it.
Well, let's save the threats.
Well, not threat, just casually mention that if she was involved, that might not bode well for her, and if you figure it out, then no one needs to know. That kind of...
Our friends are very few and far between. We should probably try to keep them.
Yeah, I see what Luca's suggesting. You can put forward such a thing without making it sound like you're the enemy. However, we'll see. I'll try to get in contact with her and see what I can't get out of her.
Speaking of idle threats, does anyone here believe that Errol Dithrani did it?
No.
I mean, I'm obviously not going to rule anyone out, but he's not really high on my list of culprits.
Whoever did it made a point of putting it on his sculpture. If Errol did it, why would he do that? It's too obvious.
Well, yes, he would never sully his own sculpture like that. He loved it too much.
Yeah.
Exactly. He told me about the 20 years he spent making it. I really don't see him tainting it like this. Plus, if I put evidence of a crime on the scrap bucket, then obviously you're gonna think that Willow did it. So Willow wouldn't put evidence of a crime on the scrap bucket.
It's a
then you'd
very,
think Willow did it.
very basic way to try and frame someone, yes.
Though Willow is a little smarter than Errol Dithrani.
Yeah, that's why Willow wouldn't do it. Oh, and maybe he did. He's not. He was intelligent on things that interested him. But
and one of those things is possibly murder.
I really don't see that as a possibility.
Well, in any case, he has been accused of murder and is now embroiled in this case, so it's good that you started a little conversation with him. Maybe while he is being interrogated and crying his little eyes out, you can go and get some intel on House Thorani.
Comfort him once again.
Good luck
Though,
with
of
that.
course, that does put us directly back in the line of sight, and we have a detective on our tail.
I have nothing to hide.
Remember
Speaking of-
that the murder happened in conjunction with an attack of undead, and you are very obviously a member of the Blood of All.
Am I?
The believer, I guess.
Luca, we've had this conversation.
And rather, like, Damon points... Actually, you know what? Damon directly taps on your reliquary.
Yeah, and is pointing at it too.
I'm gonna say Luca smacks his hand away.
Oh,
Sure.
The point is, yes, we might have nothing to hide. You might have nothing to hide. It doesn't make us not points of interest.
Yep.
So we
speaking
have
of
to
points of interest,
Careful of our movements. Yes, Willow.
Perhaps I could begin to narrow down a bit of this. Willow's going to gesture to a few names, probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 names at the moment, though we aren't ruling anything out, and we don't have all the pieces. And until 4 o'clock, we won't know how everyone else responded. Nevertheless, Willow is going to run down the list. Edmund, Alonso, Baron Ela, Lydia, Warfred, Myrildine.
Are your suspects?
Not necessarily my suspects, but ones I've been thinking of most. For, if I may just rattle off some thoughts.
By all means.
Please.
Honestly, the Thorani's honed in on in the same way that the Blood of Vol is honed in on, just this type of magic that they're capable of doing, and the type of sway they have in this gallery, I suppose. Trying to think of who can get away with this kind of thing. It's usually the people in charge.
And
And mainly Lydia, just no one expects Lydia.
bitter smirk at that.
Yeah. But it is just speculation. Most of this is. Regardless, Edmund is guilty just because he's guilty, so it's just a matter of finding out how guilty and where. Though I suppose I should mention that his offer for Tarek to show his opera in Shan was rejected, and then followed by him beginning to appeal himself to Lydia. So probably more likely that Lydia is, or at least Edmund is attempting to use Lydia as a pawn in his little investment scheme.
And that would be one of my first guesses, yes.
And I do wonder if Tarek had agreed to show his opera in Shan, whether he'd still be alive. Though I do wonder as well whether the death would only make the show more interesting to go and attend. There's a level of art that is only emboldened? Is that a word?
Yeah, emboldened is a word.
Emboldened, yes, by the death of the author. So, I mean, there's that. Also, the manner of the death, kind of striking. On the war dragon.
Very striking.
Mm.
Yeah, I've been wondering. The thing that's most outstanding about this murder is, well, the scene of the crime itself.
A statement, to say the least.
Yeah.
In what way?
Well, a man was suspended by his eyeballs on a big metal sculpture of a dragon, facing outwards towards the world. Not hidden in the slightest. Didn't look accidental. Otherwise, he'd be facing towards the dragon, you know? If he'd fallen on it or something, or somebody pushed him. Nah.
Yeah.
Whoever killed him wanted him to be found, and found like that. I can tell you that much. But that's the obvious. The question is why?
Well, I
Say it
suppose
was Edmund Beckett, then, like you said, famous author suddenly dies in a gruesome fashion as well. That's gonna spread word of the opera like wildfire. It's one thing to have
Especially-
controversial art. It's another thing to have controversial art that somebody was killed over.
Also means Tarek can't say no anymore.
Exactly. Willa looks a little uncomfortable, but they are going to try and continue. And it, considering Edmund appealing to Lydia, which sounds like a decent correspondence. Well, if you convince the prima donna and House Thurani, then maybe the show can be sent to Shan after all, against Tarek's wishes.
Yeah.
So that gives Edmund motive.
And we know that he's certainly rich enough to buy himself a pretty alibi and have somebody else do the dirty work for him.
Oh, he's bold, he is.
That's assuming that it's Beckett and not somebody else who was out for Elham.
Yes.
And then there's the matter of that attack.
Which brings us to the Blood of Fall. Who else is going to have access to undead like that? I mean, it's not impossible that it was someone unrelated, but they're definitely the easy suspects.
Yeah.
God.
Yes?
The congregation in Regalport, they don't seem like they would have a small army, do they?
No.
No.
You don't think so? Admittedly, you haven't been there a lot, but you feel like you would have known if the actual temple in Regalport had like
A space alone for
well,
a small army.
you don't know about the space because like catacombs exist, and when people
my
are
God,
dead,
you're
you
so
can
right.
kind of stack them.
Shuffle them away.
Yeah.
Tetris them.
But you would certainly know if like they had a whole bunch of active undead around doing
Yeah.
chores and stuff, because you know that's what they're used for usually.
Yeah. Okay.
What kind of motive would Dragovich and Veelia have?
Well, if they're part of the Order of the Emerald Claw, I'm sure you've read the news once or twice. Though then again, maybe that is a little bit before your time.
Ciri and them have a situation?
Willow, roll a history check to see what you know about the Order of the Emerald Claw.
Oh.
Finally, someone who knows history.
Oh my
Hey, wait, let me go find...
The documents on the Emerald Claw.
Yes. Timeline of the Last War. Let me go find that.
Yes, I remember them. Rob remembers them from that document.
Sarah has like vague knowledge of them, but Luca is an unremembering fool.
You're doing your best.
I really am
Okay.
trying my best.
Well, they're rolling in that 20 when I like
Okay.
physically have a headache
so-
on their behalf.
So,
From the conversation.
It's the burden of your juicy brain.
right at the beginning of the Last War, year 908,
908.
Queen Mishan of Ciri was assassinated by the Order of the Emerald Claw.
Oh.
Queen at that time, yeah?
Yep, Queen Mishan, the one who...
Yep, I know.
Should've-
Willa's going to speak. Oh! No,
the
go
one
ahead.
who
Yeah,
should
yeah.
have become queen of all of Galifar,
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
Willa's
go on.
going to mention
but instead there was a war of
a
succession.
war.
That
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Willow's going to sort of joylessly, headache-fully laugh and say, they were responsible for the assassination of Queen Mishan, who I believe,
Oh.
in a roundabout artistic way, was portrayed by Our Lydia
Yeah.
in Tarek's play,
Yeah, no,
and
that.
also gruesomely exploded.
That certainly draws a connection. Draws one hell of a connection. Drakovich
Yeah.
carrying on the work. Someone who's representing the queen in his work. I can see how the threads might connect. What about Farlman? That's where Ve'elia is from.
As far as I know... Oh, let's see. That's where the blood sales are from, and...
May I do a history check?
Yes, you may.
Oh!
No.
You know what? I'm gonna let your...
Lose.
You know what? On the 26, I'm gonna let it ride, actually,
Really?
because, like,
Aw.
here's the thing. The blood sales allied with Karnath briefly towards the end of the last war in a ridiculous attempt to attack Brayland by navy. It was one of Regent Morana's least popular decisions.
Okay. By navy? Did they go all the way around the east
Yeah.
coast?
Yep. They went
That
all the
is-
way around the principalities with the pirates to attack Brayland.
And failed, evidently.
Yep. Big time. Apart from that, Karnath has had trade as well as conflict with their eastern neighbors in the principalities. Particularly the blood sales are known for having a bit of overlap in culture because they are both cold, wintry places with lots of darkness and undeath. You also know about the blood sales. They are said to be, or rather, the Isle of Farlnan is said to be ruled by Lady Ilmarrow, who some people claim is the Queen of the Dead, or the Queen of the Undead. Changes sometimes. And Blood of Vol is also popular up there.
Yeah, well, they will
So,
express this.
you
Is
know,
it near Orthos?
yeah, well, not that close. It's a little bit further away.
Okay.
It's closer to the North Pole, basically.
Right.
Okay.
So it's not out of the question that the Emerald Claw might have their claws in Farlnan somewhere.
Pretty sure they'd have sympathizers there, at least. Or maybe that's where they went after they got banned from Karnath.
Yeah, that's true.
Plus, if you've got vampires and the like up there, it's pretty good to live in a place that's, you know, dark for most of the winter.
Right. Well, there's a connection.
Yeah.
I have a meta question. Are there
Yeah.
other... Is it like... Are we... What's the word? Tunnel visioning on only Blood of Vol? I know it's highly likely, but is there anyone else that we should be considering? Or is
Yeah.
it... Like, is there any other
Um,
form of magic? Or it seems likely that they would be able to conjure up
Well,
undeads?
Give me another Arcana check.
Okay. I want that nat 1 to ride somewhere, but I just don't know where. I feel rude. Jesus.
Okay.
Next history check will be a nat 1 from you.
Okay. Next time I'm like, I want to access my history brain. There's like a pre-existing. Nope.
Well, Arcana.
comes with-
Okay, so traditions of necromancy. There were some sort of there's some very, very old ones that are from Eberron, but they are completely different, as you understand, in terms of necromancy. Like, Eberron is known for ancestor worship, and ancestor worship fueled undead.
Right.
So it's like, what if you believed in your grandparents so much that they just kept going?
The plot of Coco, yep.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
I'm feeling Coco Loco.
Anyway.
Coco Loco.
Come back to us.
Please. Please.
I'm back.
Otherwise, there were probably some necromancy traditions from the ancient Akani Empire. None that you know surviving. Again, that's a stretch. There's also, I think you remember like some vague footnote in a book about like the elves of Zendrick during the reign of the giants having certain necromantic practices, but like again, it's like
That just makes
modern.
It
Yeah. It's like, again, this is like saying, what if the ancient Egyptians did it? No.
Yeah, well, were the ancient Egyptians at the event? Honestly, with how long elves live, I just don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
Not
we're
that
trying
long.
to sort of rub that thought away. It seems like a waste of brain space, and they're trying to conserve their brain energy and use it usefully. So they're going to disregard that.
If
it's most likely Blood of All.
Yeah, either that or it's your other option is that they are potentially from Drum, because a lot of people who were kicked out sought refuge there. But honestly, Occam's razor, the shortest explanation is often the correct one. Yeah. If it's not Blood of Vol directly, maybe it's somebody who hired someone for Blood of Vol and twisted it in some way.
Yep.
Sabotage is always an option.
Yes, and I know that all too well. Cool. Willow's jotted down some notes.
Anyone else we should discuss?
Probably Warfred. Oh, sorry. Mr. Bartosz.
Right, I remember.
He saw
his
through my
work.
mask.
Oh.
So there's that. He is, he says he's perceptive, but I don't trust anything. Especially considering what we're investigating. But nevertheless, he has honestly, Warfred has so many threads connected to this that it's threatens to become a bias if I think about him too hard.
I think we all have biases at this point. We might as well lay them out.
Of course. So he has he has met Tarek before. I am going to assume, because I saw Tarek's name listed for the portraits completed at the Gilded Brush, and because Warfred works at the Gilded Brush, that he may have been the one to paint Tarek's portrait, or otherwise was present at the time, and they may have acquainted themselves then. They may have met earlier, but at the very least, given the information I do have, that seems like a reasonable place for the two to become acquainted and bond over grisly, gruesome work depicting the downfall of Ciri. So there's that. He is... Okay, question to Zeke. Is he from the Mrawholds?
Yes.
Okay, well, I was going to say he's from the Mrawholds, particularly a part of the Aurum, but only a copper member, which is low in the rungs, aiming for gold, likely. And he has a bit of an inferiority. Well, let's not say inferiority complex. He likes to be called important. It's Rich Boys Club, did you say? Willow just looks at Damon.
I think you may have multi-track drifted there. I'm not sure I'm following where all of your details are clicking together.
Oh, could you explain to Luca what the Aurum is?
Oh, right. The Aurum is an international rich boys club.
Luca looks like he's waiting for more details.
So... lots of luxury, international trade, banking, stuff like that. People who could potentially find profit in war by making the right connections and staying neutral.
Right.
After all, the Moorholds weren't directly fighting for anything but themselves, and they won their independence pretty quickly.
They did.
Well, I think it's not a secret to say I don't necessarily trust anyone who comes from a rich boys club.
No.
No
and perhaps
offense.
it is a stretch.
They're gestures to Damon.
None taken.
And perhaps it is a stretch. But let's stretch anyway. Wolfred is from the Moorholds. He spent time in Shan. We know that Moorholds trades with the houses. We know what is at Moorholds. And we know what some of the houses have. And have since planted elsewhere. So maybe it's a stretch. But it is difficult to look at somebody like Wolfred and not consider the possibility that a life as a Willow pauses. They've been rambling, but they don't actually remember if Damon knows what the Snapdragon Theater is. They quickly glances at N. But okay, they'll just pause and say, as a theater goer, may be appealing to somebody like him, especially when he is only a copper ring kind of dwarf. And it doesn't seem to like the disrespect of me using his first name. I don't know, I just feel like those types of people have a manner about them. Of course, he could just be a snob.
Well, it's always an option, but yes, I can see how he might have connections there. I can see how that personality type could fall into the seat of that audience.
And how quickly that kind of person would take to nefarious dealings with houses.
Yes. I mean, something that comes to mind for me is that people in that audience were generally black sheep, not in the spotlight, and if he's a copper among this rich boys club, not exactly a gold, is he?
No. He could get there, though. If he sells enough. I don't know. People. Pieces.
I'm saying he can fly under the radar even in his position. Which is a certain trait I'm noticing with this bunch.
Yes. Still, I don't want to narrow myself into that corner of logic.
Of course.
Other questions that raise? Why can't we read Edmund's mind, though I expect that you two spoke about that. What's up with Alonso? I expect you spoke about that.
Well, do you want to be clued in?
Yeah, Willow will be open to being clued in. But I assume we can meta it because we've heard it.
Yes.
Yeah. And Willow will go back to their notes. Did you determine what was up with Eli and Edmund? Anybody know anything about that? Willow's going to look at Damon. Hear any news?
Well, we're pretty sure that the King's Dark Lanterns were working with the Serpentine Table of House Fjarlund.
Willow nods.
You know about that, or
I feel, I don't know.
I believe we don't. Willow doesn't.
Is that my nat one?
Yeah.
Headache
Okay,
kicks
Willow
in.
looks flatly at him. Willow looks flatly at him like, if I do, I'm not accessing it right now.
Right, so Fjarlin, while they're not only entertainers, they also run a heavy espionage business. Of course, there's some separation between the two sides. Not every actress is a spy, and not every spy is an actress. But they sold plenty of information during the war, and they worked pretty closely with various governments of the 5 nations.
Wait, so Mim's asking, Fjallan and
The Dark
okay,
Lanterns?
so Fjallan and the Dark Lanterns would have been like allies, or they would have been liaised with each other.
They would have liaised with each other. Because of the laws of Galifar, it was like, okay, we're not backing anybody in this war, but you can hire us to do stuff for you. So
Okay, obviously Brella's Secret Service
Yeah.
is specifically.
yeah, is the one that we're looking at because that's the one where
Yeah.
Beckett is from. That being said, so the split happened within Beckett's lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He would have been definitely old enough to have. Yeah, he was probably under active service at that time as a King's Dark Lantern, so he was probably there for when the mess happened. So, not only a reference to the art scene that he is so clearly fond of these days, but also to the fact that Elar was previously an assassin for House Fjarlin. Most
Very
likely.
sexy of him. Willow didn't say that, but Mim is.
Every time you say something like that, I am so glad that Tao isn't actually in this game. Because, like, how awkward would that be?
Anyway. Yeah. Okay. Willow nods.
So,
Trouble.
Damon's saying he's probably trying to reconnect now that the war's over. And he's not bound to the crown quite as closely.
What hell of a way of doing
After all,
it.
if you had a good informant back then, and who knows, especially if you're up to some weird shady shit. Or it could just be that Edmund is continuing his fascination with the folly.
Yeah,
this is somewhat
that's true.
meta
He is a
speak.
fan.
I'm not speaking as Damon right now, but
No, yeah,
I'm
that's fair.
sort of putting
Yeah.
up stuff that like would be discussed as you brainstorm.
Yeah, there's that. And I think-
Examining all the angles.
yeah. And I also think Willow might mention. And another thing, they're pointing at Dragovich, the anonymous painting. I know it's. I would just like to know who was responsible for it.
There's a chance they could be involved.
Could very well have been someone at the gallery. Just didn't name themselves. I don't suppose we
Yeah,
noticed
shrugs
anyone in
and nods.
particular lingering around that painting.
Not that I can think of.
Right. Well, we have a lot of pieces, we have a lot of angles, but no way of putting them together yet. That's gonna probably
it looks
depend
bad.
on
Now-
legwork.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Here's my question for you all. Are we doing this independently, or are you gonna ingratiate yourselves to the lady investigator?
We trust her?
Damon shrugs. Probably more than you can trust Beckett,
That's not difficult.
like I'm saying. But if there's anybody who would have the leverage to ask uncomfortable questions, that'd be someone like her.
Would definitely be an asset, but what can we
One way to
offer
find out
her? What can we
if
offer
she's
her
trustworthy.
to be more than just a casual thorn in her side that she shrugs off and goes on her merry way?
Intel.
Damon shrugs. Evidence?
What kind?
You tell me.
Oh, why don't we see what they're saying in the newspaper and then we'll start making some calls?
Right. Cool. So, we end the scene there. Flash forward a little bit of time. The afternoon/evening edition of the local newspaper reports on the events, although ambiguously. The headline reads, "Attack on Art Auction Rocks Regal Port Elite." It starts, "Last night around 8:45 p.m. a sudden attack occurred at the Grand Auction Hall in the middle of the bidding." And reports in more or less detail that an attack by unknown instigators happened, targeting the High Prince and the leaders of the Sea Dragons. Port Authority are investigating the breach in security with assistance from House Madani Inquisitive as to who the perpetrators are. The attack was magical in nature, with some undead making up the bulk of the forces. High Prince Ryger and captains at his side valiantly fought against the villains, while others helped evacuate the scene. 5 are reported dead in the attack, mostly staff, with over 20 injured. First responders on the scene prevented greater loss of life. Among the dead, Anne, there are small list of names of those lost. Only one name stands out to you. Cassie. Taciturnia. She got trampled in the Search of the Undead.
Yeah, I think. And has a moment with the newspaper there, staring at the name.
The Grand Auction Hall will be closed until further notice while the investigation is ongoing. But the owner promises to make arrangements for vendors who have been barred from their place of business. No specific report on the way Tarek Elham's body was found, but you imagine there's not going to be that much longer before the truth gets out. This just happens to be the first round of it.
Only so long you can keep something like that hidden.
Yeah, and he was definitely included among the 5 dead. Though they're making it sound like he was just killed in the attack instead of, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You imagine that they're trying to keep things under wraps a little bit while they're trying to investigate.
Yeah. Where are we right now?
I imagine we're, like, maybe having dinner at the hotel, like room service dinner.
Hmm.
We got to.
Otherwise, you can tell me. Otherwise, you can tell me where you are. But this is like 4 p.m. or later.
Yeah. I think Anne is going to place down the newspaper when they're done with it. And very quietly, just a very quiet, excuse me, and they're going to make for the exit of the hotel.
Where'd you
I'm
go,
going
Anne?
to glance at Luca quickly. Does Luca look like he's going to follow?
No.
Okay. Carry on in.
Anne's not going to go far. Not going to be stupid. But they are going to find themselves an alley, and if they can, a trash can. And they are just going to kick it over and kick it down the alleyway. And they want to catch fire. They want to blast it. They want to send all of their strength into that damn trash can, but they don't want to give themselves away, so they just stand there staring at the thing, imagining a corpse instead of a trash can. They just glare at it, and they are just so angry with themselves right now. They're seething. Their hands are gripping so tight, their fingernails are digging into their palms, and they just stand over that trash can and they glare down at it. Bodies are piling up, and it's their fault. They weren't smart enough, they weren't quick enough. You were taught this when you were 13 years old.
Make a charisma saving throw, Anne. You can't stop the tears. You weren't even that close to her, but you liked hanging out with her.
I know why. I know why. I know why! I don't want to think about them. I can't. Playing dice with her was like that. It was like playing with them. Now she's fucking dead! Yeah, I think Anne just is like crumples onto their, not onto their knees, but they're crouched down and they just bury their face in their knees. Have a cry in that alleyway, that's not unfamiliar either.
Yeah. It all seems so familiar, and you hate it so much. It's like being fucking 13 again.
Helpless, stupid little child. That's how you got here, isn't it? You thought you could be a stupid little child. The world is not going to play nice just because you want to have morals about it. And then people die. Roselia was messy, but at least no one else got killed. What was I thinking? That just because Luca's safe? That just because Luca's safe, everyone else is... Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if I want to hold myself to some standard, the rest of the world won't. You learned that when you were 9. A fucking failure.
You saw
Can
the
Fishdog join
tears
in?
weren't-
If I send Fishdog out, can Fishdog have followed in?
Willow, make a wisdom saving throw to separate from Fishdog.
Ooh.
No.
Okay. Willa gives Fish
You
a little
know-
shitted off look then. Useless little thing.
Mm,
And is just gonna stay there for a while and get it out of their system. They do not want to go back to the
Yeah.
others with any of this going on. They're just
yeah.
cry it out and hope it goes back into the little box it's been in all these years.
It will, eventually. I think we're about ready to wrap up for today.
Yeah.
Does anybody go looking for N after they are gone for like 15, 20 minutes?
I think Willow's going to, especially after Fishdog fails to detach. Oh shit.
It's not that Fishdog fails to detach from Willow. Willow can't send Fishdog away, otherwise they will crumple.
Yes, I know. I word things. Look. Useless little thing. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, Willow's going to look again at Luca.
Yeah.
Pointedly. Willow's also cognate at the moment now, I should have mentioned.
Oh, that Luca even less understands what you want.
Okay, Willow's probably going to say,
N's been gone a while.
We can't do
sorry,
anything
Costa has been gone a while.
for them right now.
Didn't stop you from trying with me. Shouldn't stop you from trying with N.
Are you alright?
That response is annoyed Willow. It's no end. There's Willow scoffs and looks forward. Willow is unsure why you're not taking to the opportunity to go after N when it seems like a clear and obvious option. What's Damon doing? Willow's gonna glance at Damon.
I believe Damon is not having dinner with you guys.
Yeah.
He
Okay.
went off to do his own thing.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he handed you the paper and then went off to do his own thing, so.
Okay.
No, I'm not okay.
Alright.
Willow was like looking expectantly at you, like, what does that have to do with N?
Yeah. Luca's gonna get up now.
Okay.
And head to the door.
Okay.
Can you find N?
I wonder.
Use your House Madani skills of finding, tracking.
Yeah.
Make a perception check. Or a survival check. Whichever is higher.
Neither. But I get more with perception. I was trying to, like...
Oh,
19?
hell yes.
Hi.
Yeah. You know N's fondness for alleyways.
Huh.
Ends in a alley cat.
We established this, yes.
And the tipped over trash can that is small enough for N to tip over in the first place is a clear sign, so
Do I find them?
yeah.
I
Takes a little bit of looking, but you find them sort of wiping their face.
think maybe what Luca might find instead is Kai.
Oh.
And he's just kind of sitting in the alley. He's just sat against the wall, like with his wrists propped up against his knees, staring at the wall across from him. It's blankly. But when he hears Luca approach, his attention turns to him.
Does it seem like I can get closer to Kai, or is he going to stab me?
Kai is just kind of sitting there like a wet cat.
Yeah, he just looks blank and tired.
All right.
I'm gonna say on a 19 perception, you notice a little redness around the eyes, because even Kai can't hide that.
No.
Ooh. Then I'll come over and I'll sit next to him and offer him a handkerchief. It's probably got little flowers embroidered on it.
Cute.
I will accept it and try to continue the work that N started of drying their eyes.
Don't wipe them too much, that'll irritate your skin.
I'm aware.
Oh, really?
This isn't the first time I've had to tend to N after a moment. And Kai
What
will
kind of
plop
moment?
the handkerchief back into Luca's hand when he's done with it.
Why don't you hold on to that? Let's just tuck it in his collar. The collar of his cloak.
Kai's not...
Can I make a suggestion?
Mm?
What?
Instead of tucking it into his collar, Luca curling Kai's hand back around the handkerchief.
Oh, all right.
I agree.
Okay.
Do one of those.
Yeah.
Grounding touch. Yeah, just on the hand.
A little light one.
Kai's not in a mood to argue with Luca about this, so he'll just take it and go back to resting his wrists on his knees.
Was it Tassie?
Yes.
Or just everything?
There are surmounting issues. But N will be fine.
Will they?
Yes.
I look over Kai in a very inquisitive, I want to see what this man is feeling kind of way.
Do you have to make another perception check for that? Because
I think this would be insight.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. 21?
I'm going to just attempt a deception. Because Kai's always attempting deception.
Well,
try.
no dice. Yeah, Anne has just had a big old fucking stress cry about everything, and now they're sitting in that post-cry numbness of putting themselves back together again. They will be alright eventually, but...
Do they know
If,
that
but
this wasn't their fault?
you don't think so?
I was asking Kai. Sorry, God.
Luca
You're
knows
not
the answer
involved in
already. That's not really the question.
Well, what is the question?
How do we stop it from happening again?
Why is it your job to stop it?
Perhaps it isn't, but we're already involved. Therefore, we should use our tools in a way to mitigate more damage.
You're intent on killing Edmund, yes?
I believe we've made that clear.
And it is very unlikely anything can stop you from doing that, right?
Well, obviously, we have put up parameters around that issue.
But it is likely that it will happen eventually.
That is the goal.
So why do you think that bad people will stop doing bad things just because you get in the way?
Well, obviously, we cannot stop every single bad person in the world from doing bad things. That is unreasonable.
You don't think if Edmund wants to do another of his, I make a hand, that he won't be able to do it even if you get in his way?
Of course, there's no guarantee. What is your point, Luca?
Why hold yourself to a guarantee when there isn't one?
There's a higher standard that we can hold ourselves to.
And if you fail, you break down.
If we fail, we fail. We pick ourselves back up and we try again. Because there's no other option.
What I'm saying is, you failing doesn't denote you being involved in whatever happens because you were unable to prevent it.
Understood.
Is it?
And
Or is
Kai
it something...
looks at Luca and then looks back at the wall.
Can I talk to it?
The eye.
Luca nods.
It will hear whatever you say to me.
Can it talk back?
Why do you want to talk to it right now, Luca?
There's a lot happening in N's head.
And you want to see it.
So that I can help.
This isn't the time for that.
What does it think?
Broad question.
Does it feel responsible when bad things happen around you?
Has it not necessarily made that clear? We share the same goals. It has shown... it has presented at times as if it is upset when it cannot perform in the ways N would prefer. We suspect that is a carryover of N's tendency to do the same, as it is learning from us.
Well, perhaps it might do good to learn from elsewhere as well. I get into Kai's line of view very deliberately,
Kai stares back.
and I gesture for him to move the eye patch.
I'm not doing this now, Luca.
Wait, just listen, please.
Kai sighs and removes the eye patch. Stares at
Whatever
Luca, but there's an obvious bristle to him now. He seems on the defensive.
And Luke is going to very openly only be looking into that purple eye and say, whatever you are, I have gotten the impression that you care for N enough to want them alive. I think it would be beneficial for you as well to remember bad things happening around you are not your fault. They're not N's fault. Maybe you can relay that to them in a way that will make them listen.
Make a persuasion check, Luca.
Ooh.
24?
Whoa.
Damn.
Oh my!
Something sinks in somewhere. It'll take a while for it to
It hurts.
settle.
That's a start.
Are you done?
For now. You can cover up again if you like.
Yes, Kai will return the eye patch.
Kai, you are now tired of sitting on your non-ass
Mhm.
in the alleyway.
Yeah. Wordlessly
There's no padding there.
pick himself up, brush himself off. I think
You
he's
might
gonna
as well
also,
wash up.
yeah, he's gonna go over to the trash can and like write it, just very casually, and put the lid back on.
When
All the
Kai
trash is
comes
still
back,
on the floor.
Yep, all the trash is still on the floor, but we're picking the trash can
At least
up.
when Kai comes back, or at least nearby, Luke is going to reach, like, open his hand, like, can you help me up?
Kai's gonna stare at Luca. No. Keep walking.
And I think that's where we cut off on those two, because that's really, really funny.
Oh man.
Hey, one last image of Willow.
Oh.
Yeah.
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 Go back. Take me
I
back.
think when Luca leaves, so you know that they were kind of like shitted off about Fish Dog not detaching from them. I imagine it kind of like a magnet. Like Willow gestured to it, and it like sort of went and then came back, and Willow's like annoyed that it came back to them. But at the same time, they're also like they just read the paper. On top of the Tarek part, the mention of Ryga and his sea dragons, and the way that they're spoken about, is also registering to Willow. There is something about the framing of it. I don't remember the particular wording. If I may reread it, what was the line about Ryga and his, was it like valiant efforts about his captains?
Yeah, let me read it. Ryger and the captains at his side valiantly fought against the villains while others helped evacuate the scene.
Yeah.
Where other...
Yeah, I guess so. No, it's just, and then the thought of like remembering the fact that Miraldine accusing Errol was an accusation from the Sea Dragons to the House Thurani, and then remembering that Ryger is protected by House Thurani, and that there is a level of security in Regalport because of this alliance. That you could reason this most recent event has shaken the alliance a little, if there is anything to come of the Errol and Miraldine accusations. That's uncertain. Will is thinking of Ryger saying that he wants to prevent war happening, and also thinking of the safety of everyone in Regalport and connected.
Mm-hmm.
And I think on top of that, there is the visuals of Tarek coming back to them, the basically everything they went through in their Star-Touched Wonder, all of the feelings associated with that Fish Dog is thrumming along to try and keep them physically anchored so that they don't go
They don't
bad
tip over.
about it. Yeah. On top of that, the idea of assassinations, not a good time.
Yeah.
And the feeling of speaking to him before that happened, and then thinking of N, and then thinking of all of that. And I think Willow, like, is kind of just, you know how their lightning sort of like overcomes them briefly? I think rather than giving into that, they will like sort of center it all in their hands, and their gloves will come on. And I don't know how many people are here, but can Willow use their magic missile on Fish Dog?
Yeah. I was imagining that you were like basically in your room.
I kind of imagine this happening. Maybe like we read the newspaper in the lobby or something. Like I kind of pictured Willow sitting somewhere slightly public.
Oh, let's
like,
say you were out in like the gardens. Like
Yeah.
on a patio or a terrace or something. Yeah.
Yeah, like with so I'm just imagining that little like all of the energy, dare I use a Zeke word, coalescing into Willow's glove, and then just like point blank 3 shots fired directly at Fish Dog's screen.
Yeah, I think there's a loud as Fish Dog is badly damaged by the sudden blast of 3 magic missiles at point blank range.
Did it
And
die?
makes a little boop, boop. We'll only know that if we roll. And I don't feel like
Should I
doing
roll?
that math right. You
Okay,
can.
no, never mind.
Yes,
Roll,
I just
actually, yeah, roll 3d4 plus 3. All at once.
Do I not just hit magic
instead
missile
of-
3 times? Okay. 3.
Just since it's...
Roll 3d4 plus 3.
Yes.
Did that work?
Oh,
Oh, I think Fish Dog has 1 health left. Let me check.
Yeah, Fish Dog has 1 hit point left.
1 HP.
Oh,
Fish
damn.
Dog just like powers down and like settles on the table. On its little tripod legs, one slipping. Screen's
Yeah.
cracked. And Villa just looks like flatly at it with their cognac expression, says nothing.
Cool. The next day, Damon near Ardontego is called down by the Port Authority to speak with Miss Brina Dimadani. You guys are there to overhear when she says, "You're from Zendrick, right? You specialize in solar old artifacts?" Damon says, yeah, that is what I'm known for." She says, "Well, interesting thing. I'd like to ask you a few questions. You see, while the events were going on at the Grand Auction Hall the other night, found out that a few things were stolen from the warehouse underground. A set of artifacts from Zendrick.